Bizarre is intended for mature, open-minded audiences only. If you are easily offended, we suggest you turn this wacky shit straight off.
Every time we do not like podcast, my desk becomes a fucking fuckery, man. And
just porn,
dude,
porn.
Everything's a mess.
Fucking fucker.
It's so sloppy, dude. I need to take my mixer.
Fucking fuckery.
It's an 8-channel mixer, and I could mount it to the side of my desk and just leave it the fuck alone because I don't need to touch
sex
it.
talk.
7 channels for porn.
Yeah.
7 channels
say
worth
those
of mountain on the side of my desk.
for those diddly movies, if you know what I'm talking about.
Well, it's a good thing. It's a good thing,
you.
Lyle, that you don't even need your mixer tonight because we're just right around the campfire, baby.
That's true.
It's so cold.
It
I'm
is.
anemic. I'm a vampire, my friends.
We got a
Did
nice,
you know?
our first few days really of autumny feeling type
Yeah.
tomfoolery. It's been, we get those late summers, and it just drives me crazy because you think, oh, it's October, shit's gonna start cooling off, and it cools off by about 5 degrees, and it's still sunny. And
Depends where
the
you're
last
at,
couple days, it's been pretty, pretty autumny.
The
And it
trees are
is.
changing right outside my house. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, baby.
We were
I gotta
doing-
go for a ride.
We were doing
Or
some
drive.
photos up at, Sarah and the kids always do family photos, and I always pop up and do a couple of them. I don't do all of them. But they did this up toward Mission Ridge today, and it was beautiful up there. Speaking of motorcycles, there was all sorts of people riding up there.
Oh yeah.
And beautiful drive, and and I was like, oh yeah, I forget about that. I forget that now, with the climate change and all that, we don't get autumn like we used to, not as
Quick.
consistently. But it's if you get just a little ways out of town, up in the woods, it cools down enough that it hasn't caught up yet. It'll be sad and scary when it really catches up. Up in the woods.
Summer time.
Yeah.
Seems like that.
But it was beautiful up there. It's like, oh, this is where autumn is. It's like it's still too warm down in the valley. Like I've barely started leaving loose, as I almost said. Full disclosure, before I bellied up to this here campfire,
Hammer boy.
I've been drinking. I got two pumpkin ales in me, and now I'm pouring me a red wine. It's the annual Campfire extravaganza. John Mark, did you join us at some point? I don't see you through the fire there. Oh, there you are.
I'm here.
This is one of my favorite times of year.
Spooky.
Oh,
What was that?
It's spooky
there's
time.
something out in the woods. Something crackling in the woods. If you
my
see
goodness,
me,
where was that?
if you guys catch me glancing down at my phone, it's because on over here to my right, I've got I talk about this live stream camera all the time. This one down in Florida, in Key West. It's just like a people watching camera. It's out on the sidewalk, and it's got a microphone on it, so you can hear these drunken, stupid conversations outside of the bar. You remember me talking about this one?
Oh yeah.
Well, this time of year, they have something down in Key West called Fantasy Fest. And it's basically they block off, I know I've talked about this too on the show, they block off several blocks from minors. So it's just a bunch of drunken, mostly older people, nude or semi-nude or otherwise sexed up. It's a very sex-nude forward festival. And let me tell you,
I don't know why you watch it. It sounds awful. Sounds like nothing you enjoy.
the client.
Sounds like you need Jesus in your life, sir.
Well, you and Mother might agree on that. I don't look. Before I send anyone to this camera, you should know that it is a mixed bag. And
I bet it is.
Nudity gets old pretty quickly, especially when I say it all the time. We have everything we can imagine. Just go to Pornhub.
Yeah.
Whatever there are a million Pornhubs. Pornhub's the one we always speak.
Point your finger to.
That's one that-
Point
you
something towards. You know what I'm saying?
Just put P in the search bar. It tends to autofill. It's a little fun game people like to play when you're on your buddy's laptop. Just go to the search.
Predictive text.
Hit P. But so that gets old fairly quickly. But what doesn't get old is the kooky costumes. It's a it's a very flamboyant thing, even though it's not, this is not like a queer or pride thing, but it has that sort of bigness to it that the gays usually bring at these parades. But it's just a bunch of kooks. Just a bunch of old dudes walking around with their schlongs dangling. And just like for one night only, this dude wears stilettos. Probably works construction the next day. And but also the fights, because before we gathered around the fire, I took one last glance because I can't have it up the whole time. It's too distracting. But
you look creepy, dude. You know, when you got that phone in your lap, you look evil.
It was
that light coming up, it looks like a
below.
Flashlight under your.
Yeah, that is villain lighting for sure.
Yeah.
But before one of the last things I saw was this dude got busted. He was checking out some titties, just straight up titties out in the open. A lot of the women wear those like fishnet things over their tits. But nothing underneath it, no pasties.
Show off their catch of the day.
All right. These be
like
the
fish.
catch of the days.
Oh, no.
Yep, smells like fish. What is that?
Oh, boy. Yeah, Lyle took it a little below the belt.
No, I
there.
went fishing today. It's valid.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Totally.
It is true. You got fish on the brain. But this dude was standing next to his wife or girlfriend, and she got him like just stare. There's this thing we all can do. If we all check people out and we all
we're not dead.
Yeah. You take a glance, you move the fuck on. Look the other way for a little bit, and then, maybe fake that you got an itch over here and you got to look at it while you scratch it. And take one more glance and then move on. Yeah, you got to be done.
Second glance.
You can't sit there and leer. And this dude leered. And he got caught, and his wife literally like grabbed him by the back of the neck and just like sort of dragged him out of frame. So he may be dead now. But I'm like, oh, shit's getting good. Even on a Sunday. Of course, over there, we're recording here and Washington time at 8 p.m., but it's 11 p.m. over there. Before we move on to spooky stuff, I got to know, Chris, you just got back from Florida, not Key West area.
I did.
You went to the Adobe Max conference. How was that? Any highlights? Is there anything? I'm dying to know, is there one thing, specifically with Photoshop? I use all the Adobes at this point, except really Illustrator. I don't know why. I just never have found a need to do Illustrator, but I'm dying to know if there's something in the new Photoshop presentations or whatever that you saw that you're like, oh boy, this is next level. Anything?
Honestly, yeah, it's not Photoshop. But Adobe's immersing itself in AI, and I know that sounds scary because they've been doing this for the last 3 Adobe Maxes.
Yeah,
like first one was like AI's getting close, and then the next one was like AI's here, and then this one's like, yo, AI is the future. Like it's here.
It ain't going away.
And here's how you use it as a tool. And that's what I dig about it. It's like, here's how you can use this to save time off doing dumb shit, which is what I've used it for. But here's one thing that really fucking blew me away. We sat through a presentation where they basically said so you can go to Photoshop, like firefly.com or whatever, it's their website they own, and that's their AI image generator, where you can be like, I need a picture of 2 kids playing basketball with American flag in the background.
Yeah.
It's like, here's like 5 or 6 versions of that.
Yeah.
They are just about to release the video version of that, and they showed how it works, and it fucked me up. They wrote a very specific text out, and the text read something like this: scene opens up on a mountain view, and a bumblebee flies to a purple flower, lands for a moment, flies to a yellow flower before it zigzags to a green flower. And it described everything in great detail. And then in like 45 seconds, it rendered out something that looked like Pixar did into that exact, it fucked me up, where I was like, this is going to change.
Well, it'd be something you'd have to do in After Effects, like 10 years ago.
A team of 10 people for 10 days.
Animate it and get to go. And all
it was
fucking
frames. Incredible. And it showed like the text moving along with the animation, like how exact it was. It's going to happen, and it's going to change things. But what I did like that Adobe did is they made a big deal of these like 3 safety things they're doing with AI, where it's like, we don't scour the web looking for imagery and stuff. It only comes from people that have designed shit on Photoshop and have submitted it to be used for this.
Yeah. Oh shit.
And we'll also cut them a bit of money every time we scan one of their images to use for AI. So like, And like I kind of like that because everything else is just like we'll just fucking scour the web and use everything that we can.
It's gonna. I've talked about this dude that I've seen on TikTok. I gotta reach out to him. He would be such a good guest because he is pro AI, but he started out as being very, a lot like us. Just hesitant, and he acknowledges that it's fucked up and scary, but it's like, do you want to put your head in the sand, or do you want to acknowledge that it's here? The funny thing is that most people don't seem to give two shits about it. Or they're excited about it. It tends to be people like us, and I think for the most part, all four of us can say that we have spent many, many years honing our skills in certain softwares and in certain art forms to get good at what proficient at what, and people would sit down and.
It's talent, it's
and hire you to do these
craft.
things, and they'd be like, "Man, I can't believe how fast you do these. Like you're so skilled with all that." Well, none of that matters anymore because everybody can do it to some degree. But I remember a while, probably years ago, we were talking about something. I don't know if we were talking AI, but we were talking about where the entertainment industry is going, and I remember thinking, at some point, we're going to be able to project our thoughts. There's going to be some stupid way they figure out how to do at least a version of that, right?
Yeah.
To project what your thought is onto a screen or into text, whatever. However it starts, it'll start with text, and then pretty soon you'll be able to project a vision of your thought, and I suppose you'll be able to refine it, just like the AI thing you were talking about, Chris, where you can maybe have a few options of, do you like this bumblebee or do you like that bumblebee? Do you like this mountain setting or do you want it to be more Swiss? You can dial it in, but it's going to be an automatic translation from thought to image or actual thing, and I always thought, as weird as that is to an industry, imagine going into a theater and saying, we're going to watch a live film that Christopher F. Hart is going to think up on the spot.
Yeah, that's right. Incredible.
That's kind of a new art form and something that is exciting. And it's like there are things to think about.
It'll be like the holophoner from Futurama.
Yeah.
Remember that? Remember that episode?
No, but describe it. I only watched like the first couple seasons of that, and then
there's this instrument called the holophoner, and you play it. It like basically creates like the vision of like what you're trying to express. It like creates like a visual kind of like 3D projection in the air.
Yeah.
And
like a hologram.
Yeah. But it's like a weird kind of saxophone flute kind of weird looking thing. And
I remember the episode.
Yeah, Fry tries to impress Leela with it, but he can't do it right, so it's like all
it's all
looking.
Well, God help you if you forget to turn it off.
Well, you know what
Your
the
thoughts
fuck
pop
up
up
thing is about the whole situation, and I've talked to numerous of photographers in the last like 5 years, is that like first it started with the cameras, cell phone cameras. We pay out, close to $2-3 grand for a camera body just to upgrade your, for photography.
Yeah.
And now, you could buy a smartphone for $2,000 that has just the same quality as like, your iPhone versus a Canon,
but also apps and editing
mirrorless
software
camera.
and
Yeah, and so
and phone.
now with the new AI stuff, when you're trying to develop stuff for like photographers and stuff like that, you could be at a wedding, take a picture of the bride and groom, and say, well, let's put them in a dreamy, like
sexy
Disney-esque thing, that where confetti's coming down and like that, and it'll do it. And then now you got this fake picture of, and they would love it. They would like, oh, I want 20 copies of this. How much does it cost?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's phenomenal. It's yeah, a guy could sit there at his computer and throw 20 hours at it, designing it with Photoshop and everything else.
Oh,
and then animate it
at the very least.
At the least.
That just gets you going.
When you can do it in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
You know?
And look, it's going to be a lot of fun, and there's going to be a lot of cool shit, and everyone's backyard videos just got way more exciting. That kind of thing has been happening. We've been inching that way for years. People have done theatrically released films completely on iPhones. We were just talking about that. But it is different when there's so many things that are automated. But I do think that we will probably get to a point where we're all bedazzled to a certain degree, and then suddenly no one's impressed by anything because it's just, well, anyone can do it. It's all over the place. How impressive can you make a thing look? It's like video games. How much better can the graphics get?
But they just keep getting better though. Every time you're like, every fucking time you're like, well, fuck, that's how.
But my point is with like things like creativity, I think there's going to be a similar thing to what we've seen with. It won't be widespread, but I think it'll be more niche. I think you'll start to see a trend going back to a simpler thing. We've already seen it with vinyl. We've seen it with people collecting VHS and cassette tapes even. And there will always be a need and an interest for an analog piece of art. Something that somebody could draw right in front of you, or something that was taken with an old camera. It's kind of a novelty in a funny way. Obviously, that's not the right word for it, but it feels like a novelty in a way to pay somebody to shoot on film these days. It's always like, you're a purist or you're doing it for the art. But I think at some point we'll go as far as we can with this, and then things will start backing away. Think about what music was, pop music was, when grunge hit. It was like everything was so overproduced, and there are so many different elements to one pop band or one. Even the heavy metal stuff was getting pretty bloated, and so much going on. And I think everyone was just getting a little fatigued of that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden there were these scroungy dudes with raggedy jeans and t-shirts taking it back to a very simple thing, which was a little distortion, a little badass reverb, and just some angry fuckers doing it in their garage. And that was so charming, even though it was nothing new, quite the contrary. So we'll see. Being an industry person, I suppose, so you walked away with an overall feeling that you're not necessarily going to be replaced. Chris, did you think that everyone down there that you were talking to had similar feelings, like they're not so worried about where things are going? They're just along for the ride.
They're just giving us so many useful. Let me give you another example of something that kind of blew my mind. I went through a Adobe Premiere Pro class where they were using AI to do video edits, and there was like she was like a video editor for ESPN that gave the presentation. She's like, check this out. This is a 7-minute video I shot of a basketball player talking about her life. And it's this interview of this, basketball player talking about her life. It's 7 minutes long. And she pulls up a dialogue box, and now she can live read the dialogue that she's saying. And she's like, check this out. And she goes, I can hit this button here, and it's going to find every and like way too long pause that's in this whole thing and highlight it. And it's like, boop, and it shows it all. Yeah. Like highlights it like a find, right? But then it also shows it on the video timeline. She goes, watch this, hits a button, they all go away. And now we have a 5 minute, 30-second video without all the ums and weird pauses. It's incredible.
It's like fucking find and replace for fucking video.
Yeah. And there's been versions of that in software before, but it's not necessarily intuitive. You got to train it and you got to finesse it. So look, I love that kind of stuff, and obviously I'm going to utilize that kind of thing. Even though I always go back to that does eliminate jobs, because that's the grunt work. That's how you start. That's how you start as an editor. They give you this kind of shit.
Technology does, though, right? Like this is what technology fucking does. But it's just scary that the ceiling feels so high here. Like it's doing shit that I never thought.
Well, they won't need directors soon. They won't need film directors.
And that's where I'm like, where does this end? Like, where is our usefulness any longer? In society or beyond.
Well, for photo boards, it would be phenomenal. You know what I mean? When you're doing like a movie production, you have your photo boards and stuff like that. That'd be freaking awesome. Storyboards, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again,
that would be great. I would totally use something like that, and then go off from that to an artistic, use it as a stepladder to get to where you're going a little bit faster, Well,
I try to be optimistic about the whole losing jobs thing, because maybe they're still going to hire people to do storyboards, but they're like, we know you can do this more efficiently, so we're going to give you more work, because you can do this with AI. We know we're still going to, it's not like Steven Spielberg's suddenly going to do his own editing because he doesn't have to pay somebody, or the studios are going to do their own. They're still going to hire people to do stuff. And this guy, I wish I could remember his name. I never remember it when I bring it up. I think he's called the AI teacher or professor or something like that, but I'm definitely going to get him on. I want to talk about all this, but because he makes points like that, like there are so many jobs to be done simply teaching AI, explaining how to use it, because it's not just the fact that it's there. You have to know what it can do and how to use it. And I've mentioned it before. The thing that I unapologetically use it for is organizing my writings for the magazine and proofreading shit. People send me writings all over the place in terms of style and formatting, and you working with the writer's spelling. Just because they write all the time doesn't mean they can spell for shit, or they have the slightest clue where a comma goes. We're constantly proofing writers, and then so you send that to AI and you tell it, write AP style or write magazine style or write this in an essay. And don't make any creative changes, and it spits it out, and then you say list all the things that you changed, and it's incredible, and it's really made my life easier. So I'm not anti-AI. I mean, it'd be silly to be. It's like being anti-internet. It's like you can be that if you want. It's here. It's been here a long time, and it's only going to be more here. But anyway, I was curious if you saw some shit, because I was seeing just some like mini things pop up on live streams here, or TikTok or whatever.
One thing funny did happen. Me and Leandra and Brandon went out, and we went out early, and we got registered the day before the conference. And we always, this is my 10th year doing this. Like, I feel really fortunate to work for a company that sends me to this. It feels really good. Awesome. And so we usually get there the day before, and we'll like walk between our hotel and the convention center. Even though we'll be taking shuttles, I want to know. Me and Leandra like walking. We want to know about how far it is, just in case we got to walk it. It's 1.5 miles, and it's beautiful out. First day we're there, humid as shit. Mm-hmm. We get about, I don't know, a mile into the walk, and these fucking giant clouds start rolling over. We're like, rah-roh.
Oh my God, this is Florida.
I have never experienced a downpour like that in my life. Like torrential flooding downpour, and it was warm. And guess what me and Leandra are wearing? White t-shirts.
Oh no, nipples are hard.
Okay, who gave the best white t-shirt contest? You or Lance?
Still up. I got a lot of attention. So we had to fucking roll into the convention center like wetter than I've ever been. I'm like in a shower. I don't know how to describe it. And we squeaked our shoes over to the fucking thing, got our badges. Everyone was looking at us. And we're like,
well, better get back to the conference.
It's not Christopher Fart. It's Christopher Hart. Damn it! Will you give me my badge?
Mm-hmm. It was good though. It was great. Stuff. Great little trip. I was there for 6 days.
Lucky.
Had some downtime. Got to swim in the Atlantic.
Oh, man. I would have traded you. You could have had my hospital stay, and I could have gone to Florida.
That was basically
I caught up on your catch up with Ron too. I was glad you guys did that.
Was that your first time swimming in the?
In the Atlantic Ocean.
Was that the first time being on the East Coast for you?
Yeah, I went to Virginia once, but only to play video games with a bunch of nerds in my 20s. I never really left the apartment.
I'm gonna go to the East Coast.
No, it's the first
to play video games with my buddies.
Yeah, I did that when I was 24. I think I was part of a Halo 2 clan. We would like get together every night, just fucking play Halo. I never met these guys in my life.
Oh,
and we like fuck it. We should all get together and just hang out and play Halo together in the same room. We all flew to Virginia.
That's fun.
And I had a great fucking time, man. It was one of my best like dude weekend memories I can think of.
Oh yeah.
Well, we should start moving on towards spooky talk. I've got a pile of things here, but before we started, I've been meaning to watch this for a while. Have you guys seen Late Night with the Devil?
Mm-hmm. No, what is it?
Well, it is a horror movie, but it's kind of it kind of works as a black comedy to some degree, but not really. I don't know. It looks like a 70s game show that involves the devils.
It's not kind of found footagey in a way, too, right?
Yeah, it starts off as a documentary kind of about this 1970s talk show. It's like a Johnny Carson-esque talk show. And the dude, you know, he's just doing the normal kind of things, the schmaltzy stuff, and having some celebrity guests on, and then occasionally he gets like a psychic or some sort of medium on, and that's where the premise of this overall story starts, is like this medium, and he has this guy come on that is trying to debunk it, but it ends up there's actual demonic presence so that starts wreaking havoc, or at least that's what appears to be happening. There's a lot that goes on, and it's very slow paced in a way, like you don't know what's exactly happening until really toward the end, but it's so good, and it's so well done. I guess it's an Australian movie. Nobody in it was Australian, or they didn't talk in Australian accents. I saw it. It's on AMC. I think it's a Shudder. I watched it on Prime, but I pay for Shudder and AMC.
It's on Hulu, Prime, AMC, Shudder.
Shudder.
Apple TV too.
No excuses not to watch it.
It's fucking great. I highly recommend it. It's very unique, and it's hard to do a unique thing these days. And you know, when you think found footage, it definitely has some of that, but it's not. You don't think anything like the Blair Witch. This is a very slick and fun and stylish movie. I mean, it looks like me. Leah had texted me a couple days ago. That's what put it back in my head. She's like, "You got to watch this movie. It's like you made it," and it's mostly from the style of it, because parts of it just look like my home. You know, it's like a 70s talk show.
What's it called again?
Late Night with the Devil.
I'm gonna
highly recommend it.
If I can find it's a movie, you say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I say found footage, I mean for more found footage, like a lot of footage is like footage from a TV show that they shot, because that's what it's about, right?
But and there's also like we also included some of the behind the scene footage and the stuff that was rolling in between commercials. It's really well done. It's and you know, I was looking at the reviews, and it seems to be pretty well liked. But some people were confused by the ending. I wasn't.
I was.
Were you?
I'll raise my hand.
Well, Sarah was kind of confused by it too.
I was like, wait, what just happened here? This like came out of nowhere to me. I probably need to watch it again, I guess.
I definitely would need to watch it again. I wanted to watch it again, but I felt like it was a pretty straightforward tale. There's a couple things that happen. I'm not going to say anything about it at all, because I mean, it's kind of hard to spoil anyway, but I just wanted, you know, you just got to let it unfold. But there are a couple things that you could look at as, did that actually happen? What part was this? You know, because there's a lot of sort of in and out type things happening. But they play with that a little bit, just like they play with this was the past and this was part of the documentary. And anyway, highly recommend it. Perfect time of the year to see it. The Late Night with the Devil. It's unlike anything I've seen. I did watch, for the first time in a long time, I watched Scream. And
how was that? How's that hold up?
I thought it held it up. I thought it held up pretty well, actually.
I think so too.
And it's funny because I remembered the ending, but it's still like I couldn't remember how it wound its way to it. So it really kept my interest, and I was able to appreciate it more now. When did that come out? Like 97, 98, something like that?
Long time ago.
I feel like it was the 90s.
Yeah, 98 or 97, yeah. Around there.
I was not in a horror movie phase at that point. It wouldn't be until another like 5 or 6 years before I really started getting into horror movies again. So, I don't know, in a funny way, I wasn't able to appreciate it as much as I was the second time. And I think this was only the second time I ever saw it. It deserves, I believe, it deserves its status as a classic. It is a classic now, as a classic horror movie. And, you know, it played with so many of the tropes. It was the most self-aware horror movie of all time. It was almost a spoof. Still a good horror movie and some good kill scenes. And I don't think I ever watched any of the sequels. Have you guys seen any of the Scream sequels?
I've seen them, but I've also seen the parody ones that are the comedy ones that probably 5 times more than the original ones.
Well, you know what's funny? There was a scene in Scream that I could have sworn was in Scary Movie. That's what I'm saying. It's so on, you know, it's so self-aware. That's the whole shtick of Scream. it's a celebration of horror movies, basically, and explaining all the rules, all that stuff. I knew that was what Scream was, but there is a whole scene in there that I could have sworn was actually from a Scary Movie, because it's fucking hilarious. But yeah, I recommend it if you haven't seen it in a long time. It does hold up.
I watched a movie on the plane coming back. It was on my list of. I have this list of like 20 flicks I want to watch, and it was Tenet, the Nolan flick. Did you guys watch that?
I did.
I don't think I've heard of that.
What'd you think? It's the one with like weird backwards time traveling through the movie. It's very confusing, but I guess there's a great movie in there somewhere from everything I've read on the fucking internet about it.
But you didn't like it?
It was okay. I thought it was well acted and very interesting at times, but the whole time I'm watching, I'm like, I don't quite understand this enough to enjoy it. Like, it's just very busy, and
I have found that heady movies and heady books are hard to get into on a plane.
I guess this is yes, and I guess this specific film is better with a second rewatch. Some people even have talked about watching the movie like start to finish backwards, because shit moves in reverse and they speak in reverse in some of them. It's fucking weird. It's like fucking Twin Peaks. It's got weird shit that I don't understand.
Yeah. You liked it though, John Mark?
I liked it. All right. I mean, I didn't like it as much as some of his other movies.
Yeah.
But I thought there was some interesting ideas in it, and everything was well done. But like you're saying, is some of it was just like I don't know if I know what's happening here, but like I'll just kind of go with it. But it might warrant a rewatch. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I might have to add it to my list. All right. Well, I have a list of strange and creepy graves from around the world. Now, we have our annual Halloween show, the Radar Dames Burlesque Troupe, happening this Saturday. So I've been researching a lot of different things for my little filler bits, you know. You got to have enough time between each dancer to mop up all the... I should have said swept. All the dollar bills that get tossed upon the stage, and give outfit change time and all that, and just keep the show going. And that's my shtick. I've basically have become a live version of Joe Bob Briggs. That's how I do it. I play it straight, and I just give a bunch of movie facts, and then try to find some kooky things and things to make you laugh along the way.
You're pretty much the girl that comes in between the strippers, like when you go to the strip club. The girl that goes and like mops the fucking pole down, but you have a microphone.
I'm a pole mopper.
Right. Yeah.
I don't have any problem being called a pole mopper.
Perfect.
I do some pole mopping every night. But so I was doing this I need a couple of interesting grave tidbits. So I found a few, and then I was like, boy, this would be a fun list for our spooky Halloween show. I won't necessarily go through all of these, because I do have a tiny little game I wanted to play if we have time. Just kind of playing it loosey-goosey. I mean, we're out here in nature, listening to the spooky ambience of the autumn woods, so we'll just play it by ear. And I know we got a weird trivia to get to.
I have to say this because it's been killing me and I haven't been able to talk to you about it. But when I was admitted to the hospital for the second time, one of the nurses that was checking me in the emergency room knew you.
Oh,
well, they knew you. Yeah, we were talking about something. And,
you know a lot of nurses.
That guy's come in for penicillin like 45 times.
Right, he mentioned something like he's always coming in here. Yeah, he's trying to get like all these fucking objects taken out of his anus.
Told you, Ron.
No,
there's no cure for herpes.
He's a huge fan of the Comet, and I go, oh wow, well have you ever heard him play? And he goes, what? He plays instruments?
That's so fucking funny,
dude. Have you ever seen the Bloody Oranges? And I was like, no, we gotta look. And together we're like, oh yeah, listen to that song. Oh no, the werewolf song. I'm like,
that's
he's
funny.
never heard you play, but he knows you through the Comet. He's met you personally.
Yeah.
But I think he might have been to the gallery a couple times, but he never knew you played any kind of music.
Well, that's weird.
I turned him on to that.
I played at the gallery, but
exactly.
I have found that people can only know you as one or two things.
Yeah,
and I do a lot of things. So some people know me as this guy, the podcast guy. Some people know me as the Bloody Oranges guy, and
The comic guy.
Very few people know me for all of it, but I am always a little surprised when people don't know I make music, because that was such a big... Like, you go to the Bloody Oranges Bandcamp page, it's like 12 albums. It's like, I put so much into the music thing, but no, that's funny. I'm wondering.
So I'd pass it on. I'm sure he's passing it to people. So
yeah, well, awesome.
Might have a couple more hits on your songs.
Yeah, I
on
might get a
iTunes.
couple more nickels now that I got my account back. I think someone hacked into it. I couldn't get into it for a long time, but got that fixed. All right, so as I was saying, there are some interesting graves all around the world. Some of these are sad. Some of these are a little kooky. And this first one is pretty sad and gross. Oh, shoot, I don't have the photo. I thought we were going to record this a while ago. Let me see if I still have that photo handy, because you got to see. These don't all have photo. Oh, came right up. So I am going to send this to y'all. And I'm sorry for this, but you got to see this. This is young Rosalea Lombardo. So in Palermo, Italy in 1920, a 2-year-old died from pneumonia. And as you can imagine, her parents were pretty fucked up over it, especially Rosalea's father. And these were fairly prominent folks in Palermo. And her father decided that he wanted to do whatever he possibly could to preserve the memory of his beloved young daughter, including preserving her. So he paid a local taxidermist to treat and stuff his daughter's corpse, making it look as alive as possible. Now, at first, they were putting glass eyes in her face to make her look like she was just laying awake. But that ended up not giving the overall effect they were going for, as you might imagine. So instead, they made it look like the young girl was simply sleeping in her Sunday church dress. And what would all that work be if you couldn't see it? So you guys seeing that image down there?
Yeah,
man. Woof.
Now, they wanted everybody else to see it, so they made the lid of the tiny coffin out of heavy glass. And to this day, if one ventures to the old Capuchin catacombs of Palermo, you can still see 2-year-old Rosella down in her coffin. Now, unfortunately, over the years, the eyes have become less than shut. So poor Rosella has a bit of a troubling stare. And to further preserve the now quite famous body, the small coffin has since been moved into a larger hermetically sealed glass display, but you can still stand over the top of it and look down through the glass and see that image. Which I don't know if I'd want to see it in person, but I meant well, you know. The trauma does things to people, but can you imagine just going and visiting the actual corpse of your child?
Well,
different cultures.
You know, taxidermists, how they do taxidermy is like it's really not what you think.
It's not embalming.
Yeah, I mean they would have had enough remains of her to fucking have her burnt and like have her ashes and spread them. Yeah. Also, and still have this to look at. You know, that's wow. God. It's a lot to do for somebody to be able to stomach doing.
It's rough. Now the next one is Lily E. Gray. And this is in the Salt Lake Cemetery in Utah. And upon first glance, there's nothing particularly eerie about this normal-looking headstone of the elderly Lily E. Gray. But with a closer inspection, you'll see that the headstone has a very troubling inscription. It says, "Victim of the Beast 666.
Whoa.
And as gothic and spiritual as that sounds...
Hey, can we do this real quick?
Whoa.
Woe to you of earth and sea.
Oh, that's about
For
right.
the devil sends the beast with wrath, because he knows the time is short. Let them reckon with the number of the beast. Its number is 666.
Ding, 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 ding. John Mark just saw them in the Tacoma Dome. Did they play that? They're kind of on a greatest hits tour, aren't they?
They did not play that song.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I still
played
haven't
The
seen them
Prisoner,
live.
though.
Oh, that would have been so good too.
I don't think I've ever heard them play that. I'm a prisoner. That's a unique song. One of my favorite Maiden songs, actually.
I love that album too. Peace of Mind, isn't it? Or is it on
Number of the Beast.
No, Number of the
Number
Beast.
of the
Yeah.
Beast? Yeah, yeah. God, those are two great albums.
Well, apparently it's not quite as spooky as it sounds. The surviving husband of Lily, Elmer Gray, apparently blamed the United States government for his wife's death. And few people have looked into it. And that claim stands, but no one has really got to the bottom of any clear reason that he blamed the government for why his wife died. But so when you see Victim of the B666, he's basically calling the United States government the devil and blaming them for his wife's death. It leads to a very interesting tombstone. This next one is great for October. This is pretty wild. This is a famous one, too. This is the Chase family crypt in Barbados. The Chase Vault at the Christ Church Parish Church in Barbados was built by James Elliot around 1724. The vault was a stone room with an arched roof that was built just below ground and accessible with stairs. Little underground vault. It was over 12 feet deep and about 6 feet wide, and over the years, several members of the family had been interred there with no issues. So, you know, someone would die, they'd open up the vault, they'd crack the seal, open the vault, put another family member in, seal it up, until the next one died. But
That's rough.
it's a very unique practice. When Thomas Chase was laid to rest in the family crypt in 1813, the gravediggers opened the tomb to a surprising scene. All of the coffins had been shifted around the room, and some were tossed about a little bit. And this was a crypt which had not been opened since the death of 2-year-old Mary Ann Chase in 1808. And
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Terrible twos, is that what we're
Like
thinking?
the seal had not been broken. Now, nothing had been removed from the coffins, and the seal on the large marble door made of solid cement showed zero signs of having been previously broken. So they're like, WTF, y'all. But they put all the coffins back in their original positions and re-sealed the vault, this time with a bit more modern reinforcement. Now, fast forward to 1816, and the death of 11-year-old Charles Brewster Ames, and the tomb is open once again. Again, they find that the coffins had been tossed around, especially Thomas Chase's heavy lead-lined coffin, which had taken 8 men to haul into the vault after he passed. So this was something that obviously got a lot of locals talking, and it became a legend because it kept happening. This was a big family. It was one of these big, big prominent families in a small town. And, you know, in the time of like plagues, in the time of pre-vaccines and medicine, people died. Obviously, 3 of these deaths so far have been very young people. That was more common in this era. So people died all the time, and so they got into that tomb all the time, but it was sealed, no other way of getting into, and it kept being tossed about. So every time the crypt was open now, these funerals became very popular because the locals gathered for the ensuing quote-unquote show. And so when Lord Cumberbear, governor of Barbados, witnessed the bizarre ordeal himself in 1819, he ordered an investigation. Sand was placed on the floor of the crypt to catch any footprints of any grave robbers. The walls were meticulously checked for secret passages, and they set other traps and other tomfoolery to see what the fuck was going on, inside and outside. And then once again, completely resealed it, reinforced it. Even like every time they did this, they reinforced it with another wall. They even eventually put another door in front of the original vault, which had its own seal. So Cumberbear had his own personal seal imprinted on the cement surrounding this new door, and then less than a year later, Cumberbear ordered the vault to be opened just to see. And once again, without even a hint of any outside tampering of the seal or in the sand on the floor of the vault, the coffins were strewn all over the place. Some at this point were even standing straight up. No footprints in the sand, no signs of any like tracks or carts or any pulleys or chains. The sand was pristine, except for the coffins had been moved all about. So, another body,
don't like it.
another coffin was found halfway up the vault stairs, right, and had almost gotten all the way to the vault door, like it had been dragged. So Cumber Bear had seen enough, and he ordered the coffins to be removed from this seemingly cursed vault and actually buried into the earth. And the crypt was subsequently abandoned and remains so this day. It's still there. You can see it. You can walk down to parts of it. It's just empty. And so far, all of the coffins have remained undisturbed in their new earthly graves.
And it's too bad they weren't able to put cameras in there and then seal it up and then, still have this, we could put conduit, and make sure the cameras have power and everything like that. Just,
What was that guy's name? Cumber Bear?
Cumber Bear.
Find out really what happened, like if it was...
Chris, a couple people have called you that, I bet, in your day. It's like, come to bed, Cumber Bear.
Oh, man. Side note, I had to get an ultrasound on my liver done a couple weeks back.
Oh.
No, it's no big deal. Like, when I went down for, when my fucking tooth was killing me, I just had a bunch of blood work done, and one of my liver levels looked a little high. Nothing to be, like, alarmed about,
Yeah.
but they were like, we're just gonna check. And my liver came back like a little fatty, but they were like, it's not that big of a deal. And I was like, well, the rest of me is a little fatty right now too, so that's probably what's happening. But when, she was like applying jelly to the wand and like a fucking ultrasound, like you get when you were getting, checking on a baby.
Yeah.
And just like for 20 minutes, just put shit on, rubbing all over my tummy.
Was it
Very
warm?
good.
Was it
Yes,
at least
would
warm?
Yeah, it did. It like she had a little machine that heated it up.
Okay.
yeah.
Because
At the end
sometimes
of
it
it-
get you cold.
At the end of it, she's like, "All right, I'm gonna go check these out." And she tossed me a towel. She's like, "Clean yourself up." I was like,
Yeah,
"Wow, how the tables have turned."
Well, did you have to do it with
I
your
guess
pants
I've
down?
earned that for 25 years.
Well, did you have to do it with your pants down with the cock out?
No, it didn't allow. That wasn't the.
Oh,
you haven't
That's
lived.
what happened to me. Oh, what? What the hell? That's not right.
So you haven't quite lived the life that you've given other people in your... that's pretty good. Yeah, fatty liver is pretty fucking common, but I had one blood test that came back and like your liver's looking a little stressed. I'm like, I probably know what that is. Ran down the,
Weird.
ran
What
down
could
the
be that?
booze a
no
little bit,
clue what that is.
And next time I went in, it was fine, but I did cut
Maybe
back.
it's all the vegetables that I've been eating. Yeah.
It does help to cut back. Here's a little quick one. In Godfield Pioneer Cemetery in Nevada lies an odd and poorly carved tombstone that reads simply, "Unknown man died eating library paste, July 14th, 1908.
Eating glue.
Well, what is library paste? Is that glue? Is that literally like a? Is that what you say
I think it's like the
Bookbinding
white
glue.
stuff. Remember the stuff that came in the stick? I think.
Yeah. Glue stick.
Yeah. Don't you remember kids eating paste? Like that paste had. I always kind of liked the smell
yeah,
of it.
like the. Yes.
Like it
I know what you're
smelled
talking about.
kind of
almost like rubber
sweet.
cement, right?
Well, rubber cement is pungent. Like that will get you high, and that's a very polarizing smell. But the paste, some people can't even smell it. It's just like, I don't know. It's like fresh cardstock. It's got a papery smell, sort of a fishious, office type smell. I always thought, and I remember kids eating that shit like they couldn't even have them at school because kids would just fucking eat them like a stick of candy or gum or something. Yeah. I was into some weird things and some weird textures, as you all know, but I was never into eating paste. But I briefly was boyfriend-girlfriend with a girl named Jennifer, who, when she was 7, was quite into eating paste. Now, me being 32 at the time, I was not into such childish behavior, but I really need there to be more laughter at that joke.
Well, there's truth to it too, though. So is it really a joke or is it just?
Thank God John Mark gave it. It's like,
Yeah,
where's
that
the
would've been
joke?
Fucking great, yeah.
So the legend goes that a vagrant wandering the streets of Goldfield in 1908 was rummaging through a trash bin outside a local library looking for something to eat, and the best sustenance he could find was a jar of book paste. And he would have found the paste surprisingly sweet because in addition to flour and water, it was 60% alum. And unfortunately, that concentration proved deadly. And when the townspeople found the deceased drifter, he was buried in a pioneer cemetery which was little more than a craggly, rocky dirt patch, and the grave was topped with the now famous headstone that just says, "Unknown man died eating library paste, July 14th,
Incredible.
1908.
Wow.
Never forget.
The things that we can do with our time on planet Earth, however short.
Yeah.
Let's see. I only got two more.
Oh God, I got a quick
go
question for
ahead.
Chris.
Okay.
Chris, did you get to see Todd McFarlane there? Because he was there, like live streaming.
Todd McFarlane was at Adobe
For,
Max.
Yes.
Comic book coloring or something?
No, I didn't see him.
Oh wow.
Does he draw digitally?
Well, he had a huge booth and everything there. He was
Or maybe
live
he
streaming
makes
from it.
movies now or something. All right, second to the last one. This is, I'm just going to read this right off of Atlas Obscura. This is the tale of the Lady in Red. In the summer of 1969, farmhands were digging on Egypt Plantation in Kruger, Mississippi, when the backhoe operator felt a crunch. Just 3 feet beneath the topsoil, he had hit a very, very old coffin, made of cast iron and glass. The body inside was visible. It was a young woman wearing a red velvet dress, white gloves, and square-toed boots from some time in the previous century. The body wasn't decomposed, as one might expect for a corpse in such antiquated garb. The coffin had been filled with preservative alcohol and sealed. And the woman inside looked almost as if she did the day she died. The glass had shattered when the backhoe hit it, and the alcohol seeped into the ground around it, exposing the body to the elements after a century of rest. Like, this bitch was straight up pickled.
Wow. Yeah.
And successfully preserved.
Just like you are on the inside, Ron.
Just like me on the inside, going back to the liver scenario. Local historians have attempted to source the woman's identity without any luck. Clues from her clothing and the coffin she was found in indicate she died before the Civil War. She was reburied in Lexington's Oddfellow Cemetery with a marker dating her estimated birth date as 1835 and her death date as 1969, the year she was discovered. Which is really strange. No one is sure about who the Lady in Red was, or why she was buried in a shallow, unmarked grave, floating in preservative alcohol. Some speculate that the coffin might have fallen off a wagon and never reached its final burial site. Others predict, that's easy to believe, in some sort of plague time. Others predict that she was a passenger on a paddle boat who died while traveling the nearby Yazoo River. Her identity may never be discovered, but if anything, that's only fueled the intrigue surrounding the Lady in Red. There's actually been a lot of fiction written about this. I lied, I have 2 more. This next one is very sad, though, so I'm going to end with something that's a little more cheerful. This one will bum you out on all levels, but it's an intriguing story. This is the tragic tale of Little
Requiem
Merritt.
for a Dream.
It's about that cheerful. Us to us. No, there's no ass to ass in here. No ass to ass in here, but yeah, equally dark and angering. So, this is the tale of the tiny grave of Little Merritt. Now, I thought I'd heard this story before because I knew about a grave with a window. But apparently there are lots of graves with windows. But I was thinking this was the one where you could just look down and see the deceased and make sure they're still dead. Because remember, there was somebody that was terrified of being buried alive. So it wasn't the one that needed the bell. It was one that's like, just put a window there and check in on me. And if you see me being like, let me out of here, you dig me up. That's a famous, I can't remember what, I think it's Timothy Clark or something. Anyway. This tale is a whole different thing. So in 1865, an 8-year-old boy named Merritt Beardsley came down with a series of illnesses that led to some kind of infection. It may have been sepsis. They don't really know. But the story isn't too clear on that. But what is clear is that the docs had done everything they could, and poor Merritt knew he was going to die very soon. And again, this is fucking heartbreaking. He told his parents he didn't want to die and be buried because he was afraid of the dark. Just take that in for a minute. Like how that's got to like so much. These poor fucking parents. I mean, obviously, poor little Meryl or Merritt, but his poor parents having to deal with this, and he can only think of death like a little kid would. You know, it's like, oh, it's dark. It's dark down there, and I'm afraid of the dark. So not long after Merritt dies, his dad was hell-bent on doing everything he could to make sure that his late son would not spend eternity in darkness. And since he happened to also be a stoneworker, he ended up building his son a little tomb. This tiniest little mausoleum, sort of set into a slightly sloped hill, so that on the front of the tomb, it was like 2 or 3 feet tall, and then the back of the tomb was almost into the dirt. It was on a little slope like that, and on the very front panel, he had put a very thick panel of glass, so that the body was just laid right inside the crypt, not inside a coffin, just right inside the crypt, so that every day the light would flood into his grave and he would not spend eternity in darkness, which is such a fucking beautiful tribute for their son. Mm-hmm. This is where the niceness ends. A few years down the road, because people are fucking... people are people. A few years down the road, vandals decided that they just couldn't have that happy ending, and the window was smashed open many times. Now, people were throwing shit into the grave, like beer bottles and garbage, and you could tell that people were trying to get inside, but they couldn't get through the broken glass. So they would clean it up, replace the glass, use thicker glass, and it would happen again. Now, eventually, Merritt's parents both died, and they joined him right next to his little family plot in the cemetery. But the vandalism continued, and in the early 1970s, some cunts decided that they weren't just going to smash the window. They were going to smash all of the window, pull it out, and reach in and pull out the remains of little Merritt. Bit by bit, using garden tools and sticks, whatever they could find to reach in, they pulled out pretty much all of Merritt's bones and, his remains for this dead fucking child, and tossed them all over the cemetery. Just threw them about, just fucking around. Beer cans everywhere, a bunch of fuckers getting off on this. And if that isn't nice enough, one of the cunts decided that he was going to take home a trophy of this auspicious occasion, and that trophy ended up being young Merritt's skull. I shit you not. Like, it's amazing the span of the human, like the spectrum of human behavior in this one story, right? Like this grieving, devastated father giving his son like this sweet and beautiful, heartbreaking gift. And then over here, nope, smashy. Oh, I'm going to take your fucking kid's skull home because it's funny. Jesus Christ. Now, they ended up finding some of the kids. They put all the bones back in, but they quickly realized that the skull was missing. They ended up finding one of the kids that was involved, and he squealed on the other guy, and he's like, yeah, he took the skull home. So I don't know what happened to these kids, what kind of trouble they got into. But the skull was returned to the rest of the remains, and the window was once again repaired. Now, this kept happening. No one was like fucking with the bones, but people kept smashing the window, and I guess at one point it was just kind of filled in and boarded over. But somebody just a few years ago, just a young guy, like a 19 or 20-year-old, came across the story of Merritt and his tragic tale and his coffin or unique grave and this horrifying story about how it was vandalized, and he decided to raise some funds to get the hole cut back open but a little smaller, and then he attached some super thick like plexiglass that really couldn't be broken into. He just did it on his own. Like, he raised some funds. He just felt connected to this story. It was like, this is fucked up, and now the kid's living in darkness like he didn't want. So it does have a good ending to some degree, but what a fucking crazy story, huh? And to this day,
pretty tragic.
You can go to that cemetery and just look up the grave of little Merritt, and you can go in there and see the inside the coffin. I don't think you can really see his remains, and he may have even been actually buried after all that vandalism. But the grave is still there. You can still look into the little window. Now, finally, this is my last one. We're gonna.
All right, bring us back around, Ron.
And this one is
closer
pretty...
to you on this log. I'm getting scared.
yeah, stoke another log here. This one's pretty great, actually. And you may have seen it. Oh, this one has a visual aid, too. This is the tale of the very happy grave of the late Victor Noir. Now, I'm gonna read this one right off of Atlas Obscura. Victor Noir, a 19th century political journalist, is one of those people who will be better remembered in death than life. Shot in a duel by Prince Pierre Bonaparte in 1870, he became a martyr for the Republic and a symbol of imperial injustice. More than 100,000 people came to his funeral, where frenetic weeping was mixed with calls for insurrection. After the downfall of the Second Empire, Victor Noir's remains were transferred to the Père Lachaise Cemetery, and a bronze effigy was commissioned by the sculptor Jules Dalou in praise of his memory. Noir was depicted as an elegant man laying dead on the floor after the impact of the lethal bullet, which is interesting because usually when they make statues of dead people, they're depicted as being alive. But this shows him dead, laying on the fucking ground as a corpse. Really interesting.
His finest moment in life.
Well, that's still to come. Well, no pun intended. His top hat tipped over on his side and just laying there completely lifeless. Dalou chose to represent Noir in a very realistic way, his face having the detailed quality of a cast death mask. However, another detail of Noir's anatomy would soon get more attention than the sober realism of the memorial bronze. The dead Victor in his eternal sleep bears an underbelt bulge that a lot of his living fellows would be jealous of. Speak for yourself, cracker. Victor Noir is nowadays one of the most visited residents of the graveyard. Right after,
I bet his dong is rubbed, so the brass is, you can tell where he's been rubbed over and over again, huh? You've seen those, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, like I said, this is a very famous grave. I can neither confirm nor deny, but the photo that I'm about to send will do. Victor Noir is nowadays one of the most visited residents in the graveyard, right after Jim Morrison and Alan Kardec. I don't know who Alan Kardec is. John Mark, you got anything on that?
No, I'm not sure.
Huh. That's pretty big company. His popularity is not because of his talent as a journalist, nor his symbolic role, but lies in the notorious lump in his pants. A generation of superstitious or just randy women have decided that taking indecent rubbings on Victor's impressive girth could prevent infertility, and perform these rubbings in more than the traditional manner. After a century of daily joyrides... Okay, now's the time to send the photo.
Okay.
After a century of daily joyrides, even burlesque dancer Dita Von Teese has had a go. Victor's Noir's lips and groin are, as Christopher mentioned, polished, shiny with nickel. It's like the Statue of Liberty is made of copper, but it's that teal patina that we see. Well, the patina is worn off on Victor Noir's bulge and lips. And there are all sorts of videos and photos of very attractive women riding, just full on pulling a skirt up, pulling the panties down, and riding this dude. His face and his bulge right there on the statue of him being STDs. Dead. Yeah, maybe that's killed in UV.
No doubt.
The rest of his body remains the greenish tone of oxidized bronze. Oh, bronze, not copper. In 2004, when a fence was erected, pun intended, around Victor Noir's tomb to deter fertility seekers from carnally touching the statue, women were so offended that a few noisy protests were staged in the cemetery, enough to have the fence torn down so that the women can go back and fucking this dude's bulge and face.
Well,
And now you know the rest of the story. Well, look at that. That is some serious grinding. I mean, that bronze is...
It's polished, man. It's
he's literally getting his knob polished. Oh, Victor Noir.
Oh my.
Amazing. Well, okay, looking at the clock, since we're going to make this this will be our only cast for October. And I'm just going to put it up next. I'm going to put up tomorrow, actually. Too muchery going on, but how about, should we do a little bit of my game before we get on to some?
Yeah.
Because I think we're ending.
I came for the game, Ron.
All right, let's do this. So we're going to do a round of elimination.
Okay.
Based on something we've talked a lot about, but never from this angle, and that is the worst ways to die. Now, this is not... We've talked about the scientifically proven or the most quote-unquote thought to be painful and horrific ways to die. This is an actual ranker list. You could say, I suppose, to some degree it's based on phobias, but I think that's the wrong way to word it, because that will probably get you going down the wrong path. Like, there's no death by spiders or anything. So, but this is personal. This is just people voting for what they consider to be the worst way to die. So it's a little all over the map. And since this is tricky, like last time, I'm going to send you the entire list of the top 20.
Now, is there a Ronster 5?
There's a Ronster 2. I ran out of time. So there is a Ronster 2. And each one of those are worth 5. And since we're only doing the top 10, 5 is a lot of points, because that's, we're not going to get up into the 15s here. So let me make sure. Yeah, this is in completely random order. But these are your choices here. And I'm not going to share those with the audience, though. They'll learn each horrific way to die as we go. Now, I am going to light my cigar here. You guys take a look. See, I do believe that our last game, Lyle smashed y'all's asses. Am I right? I'm remembering it that way.
I remember just getting smashed.
So we're going to let Lyle go first. And I believe Christopher was in the caboose, so he's going to go middle. And then John Mark will take up the caboose this time. So once again, these are the scariest or worst ways to die as voted by the people, the public of Ranker. We're looking for the top 10, only the top 10 score. Everything else is worth nothing except for the Ronster 2.
Bingy, bingy indeed. Woof, this is not a pleasant list.
Well,
I've been
reading
a lot of the Game of Thrones books, and they go over a lot of like some of these, and woof, torture methods, and
literal torture porn.
And it's like, man, would not survive, would not like.
Oh, it's funny that Human Centipede was on the list.
That's a weird one.
Most of these are like things that actually could happen.
Well, oh man, coming fall and it's October and everything like that. I think a wood chipper accident would be pretty horrible. That'd be a horrible way to die.
Yeah, it certainly would. Wood chipper accident? Oh,
and painful too.
I feel like that'd be so quick. It's like, what sucks for one?
Limb by limb, dude. It'd be limb by limb.
I mean, it depends on which way you went in.
Yeah. If I'm
Like
going wood
first.
chipper, I'm going head first, man. You know what? I'm not fucking around.
Oh, yeah. If you had a choice, fuck yeah. A couple of these
Dive right in. See ya.
are very key about which end you'd start at. Well, Lyle Wood Chipper, unfortunately, was number 19. I think that's pretty low, but this is a horrible list. I mean, none of these you could say would be like, oh, come on, that's an easy way to go. But yeah, Wood Chipper does seem like a little low in the list. So that is worth no points. Only top 10. So, Chris, good opportunity to take an early lead here.
I think being burned alive would be awful.
Mm-hmm.
I've been burned by something just small.
Yeah.
Like just the
a good
smallest
point.
burn is bad.
That's a good point.
You know,
Because
dude.
most of us don't know a lot of pain that would be associated with some of these things, but we've all been burned. And we know the stinging wing of that.
Well, you
Yeah.
know, the worst part, the ultimate torture being burned alive is like being burned, and you had to be burned for like 2 hours, and then they stop and then continue it the next day.
Like a slow roast? What am I? No.
Oh, that would be torture, dude.
I just think burned alive in any format is a fucking awful way to go, probably. It's probably a
When
bad way to go.
When it hits, it burns all your nerve endings off, So it's like,
That has to feel good.
Well, you wouldn't feel much at all.
Once you get past that,
Yeah. Slight discomfort as you're
Well, you ever watch
it's gonna be
like
real
Whisper?
bad at first, and then just bad.
No. It's like getting a tattoo. You know, you get your endorphins, take all the pain. So you wouldn't feel anything for the first few minutes, and then you'd be
By
like,
all accounts, being burned alive is a fucking horrible and painful way to go.
oh,
Yeah.
it'd be bad.
It makes me. Well, Chris just brought up Game of Thrones. There was that one. I don't remember the character's name, but she was being burned at the stake, and whoever was
you'll
burning
never
was
hear me
like,
scream.
"You'll scream," and she's like, "I will not scream.
Oh,
I'll be
it's a
singing the
little
whole
girl.
time." She's like, "You'll
Yeah.
scream." So she's singing for like 5 seconds, and then she's like, "It's pretty fucking brutal."
Yeah.
That show was brutal. Well,
Yes.
that is. I'll just drop my list here. A good guess, number 4, which gives you 7 points.
Okay.
You are in the lead with 7. All right, John Mark.
I'm good at having fears. This is great.
Banner is a witch.
I'm thinking boiled alive.
Ooh. Yeah.
You know what's interesting about that is that happens every fucking year.
What? How?
People falling into those fucking hot
People go to Yellowstone and fuck around and
those
they
hot
find out.
springs.
Yeah, that's one too. Yeah,
Remember
Yellowstone.
that we just talked about this not that long ago. It's almost every fucking year. It's Yosemite usually, but there are other national parks. People just get too close. And, you know, or their dog falls in. This has happened a couple of times where someone's dog falls in. And, you know, we can all imagine wanting to go save our dog. But that dog's gone, son. And you jumping in and, yeah, and they have done... you've seen stuff on YouTube. It was like, here's a scientist's analyzation of what that person experienced and how long it took for them to fully dissolve. It's like, it's basically like a minute or two, and they're just like almost essentially dissolved off of the bone. It's like that fucking hot.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not like boil. It's hard to understand because we don't, like when you boil meat, it doesn't dissolve. So it's like, what is dissolving people?
Did you guys watch Shogun? The new one?
I didn't watch it. I've heard.
No,
I've
I
heard
saw
it's
the
good.
old one with Richard Chamberlain.
Did you read the book or anything? Okay, so there's
No.
there's a part where there's this one character who likes to he's experimenting with torture methods, and he's like I feel like slowly boiling someone alive. So like not like quickly boiling them alive, but like just sticking them in like boiling hot water enough to where it like takes like hours and hours for them to die. It's fucked up, dude.
Yeah.
Who guessed what? Where are we?
John Mark guessed being boiled alive, and it was a good guess because it was, in fact, 3. 3 on the list, which is
John
worth
Mark.
8 points. Just slightly worse than being
Gotta
eaten
fucking,
alive.
just gotta fucking one up us every time, John.
Just got a 1 up. Yep. Son of a bitch.
There's a long way to go yet.
Yeah. Is it my turn now? I think it is my turn.
No. It's Lyle's again.
Damn it. Fuck.
You're in the middle.
I'll make it quick. I'm gonna go with the Judas Cradle, a device that slowly lowers you until a sharp pyramid object goes right in your butt first. I guess. I don't know.
Yes, basically this sharp, giant triangle pyramid-looking thing, and they put you on your butt and chain you up, and there's only gravity does the
Gravity.
rest.
Ooh, Jesus.
It is bad, and I think it deserves to be much higher than the unfortunate number 11. Just missed.
Jesus.
Just missed getting points on that one. But yeah, a good guess and a terrible way to die. It's like, what? These fucking psychopaths that come up with this shit, you know? Like someone
it's
actually
the,
thought about
yeah.
this. Like, what would be, you know, what
The
would
golden
suck?
era of
I'm
torture.
gonna build it.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna
What's
fucking
gonna
do
ma-
it.
What's gonna
like-
make the most pain?
Well, it's like Vlad, Temper, like the Dragul. He used to spike all his enemies, like, and that's
Oh, it's
how
on
they
the
did.
list,
it.
man. It's on the fucking
yeah, being
list, Lyle.
impaled is on the list. Vlad the Impaler.
that's-
Yeah, that was the idea. You don't
I'm gonna
kill
go.
them. You poke them, and then they slowly
This feels-
slide down. The
Just
impaler.
stick 'em.
This feels a lot like a fucked up fantasy football draft where I'm like, really like impale, but I'm gonna save it for round 4. Just don't feel that strong about it yet. But
I'm gonna play
Soon,
Goosey goosey.
But I am gonna go with one that I have thought about a lot and read about a lot, and it sounds I think that it might be worse than being burned alive because it could be a slower process and just as agonizing, and that is skinned alive.
Ugh.
Holy fuck! The flayed man holds no secrets is what you remember.
Yep. Oh. Yeah, the idea of skinning in general is pretty horrifying, but to be skinned alive. Well, you're not alone there, Christopher, because that was number fucking 2.
John Mark, bring it.
Worth 9 points, and that brings you to 16 to John Mark.
I don't really mean fuck you, John Mark.
Fuck you, John. Let me walk that back, bud.
I know.
I just want to win.
You're only half. He's twice ahead of you in points. 3 answers taken on the top 10. Like I said, this will be a bit shorter of a round, but still plenty to go here. Plenty of bad ways to die. The one that's number 1, it wouldn't be my number 1. Obviously, I put one of my number 1s in my roster list. Only 2 of them, but it's a bad one. They're all fucking bad. All right, John Mark, your time to shine here. You can pass if you get number 1.
I'm gonna go with Brazen Bull because every time I read about that or hear about it or see it depicted in any form of media, I'm just like, it's one of the most horrible fucking things I can think of.
It's gonna be fucking awful. It's funny how often the Brazen Bull comes up on the podcast too. It's like we've covered it so many ways. But to anyone that doesn't know, big old iron bowl that's hollowed out in the middle. You put your poor bastard inside, lock him up, light a fire under it. He slowly bakes alive, basically. But
it's like they bake and steam alive at the same time. It's fucking
like a dumpling.
And then the evil genius of the guy who designed it, for some twisted emperor or king or something, he made a series of tubes going from the belly of the beast, which is where you are, burning, to the nose where the smoke is coming out, the burning you. So your screams go funneled through that, and it sounds like the braying of a bull. And the legend goes that the first person to experience the brazen bowl was the guy that built it, because the king he built it for was also kind of mad. Don't know how much truth there is to that, but there is absolutely truth to the fact that the brazen bowl existed. Fucking twisted. Good guess, but no, that is number 13 on the list.
Lame.
All right, Lyle, this is your chance. Plenty in the top 10 for you to at least get some points on the board here.
I'm going to go with Melted by Acid.
Oh, what a great time to go Melted by Acid.
Sizzle, sizzle.
Because that is, in fact, the number 1 answer. As voted by the people of Ranker. I thought that was interesting, too. Yeah, I never would have guessed that.
That's a weird one to me. I mean, like, it sounds awful, but it's not what high on my like worst ways to die list.
There's so much that goes into this, like picking your your favorite way to not die. It's like there's a lot of personal things, but I think it probably boils down to the movies we watched, or maybe the like video games these days. Whatever sculpts a young, impressionable person, not necessarily young, just something that scars you that you see is like, and it sticks in your head. And you just you do that thing where 3 in the morning you're tossing and turning just for no fucking reason. That image comes into your head and you're just like, whew, that would suck.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that goes into these choices. But a lot of people do not want to be melted by acid. Good guess, Lyle. And you are now in second place, just 6 points behind Christopher for now. Although it is his turn, so we'll see what he does here.
I'm gonna go with the popularity of our dearly beloved shows such as The Walking Dead. Being eaten alive, I think, is somebody when I see those motherfuckers go, I'm like, that's gotta suck. Oh, that's gotta suck.
Oh yeah, first of all, just being pulled apart.
Yes.
Being bitten, that's another thing. That's another pain we can all experience. Whether some kid bit you when. Kids bit each other a lot back when I was a kid. I don't know if that's still a thing, but biting was a big problem when we were kids. It is dangerous. That's some infectious shit. I was bitten by a dog not that long ago, and it fucking, oh God,
we're back in the kennel.
So much pain, and that was one little nibble. It was like some little pit bull mix, little fucking bitey bitch fucker. And I know, trust me, I know that dog was just doing like a little, in his brain, his little bitey bitch brain, was just doing like a little nibble. I'm just going to give you a little warning. Getting too close to my master, even though your fucking master was bringing you closer to me, you fucking bitey bitch. Hurt so bad. I thought it might be permanent damage. We'll see. Anyway, that's one tiny little bite. I know that dog could do way fucking worse. And just pulling off like a chunk of you. Yeah, zombies being pulled apart by zombies. It's not even the eating. The eating's like whatever. It's gross. But it's they're always like grab the ribs and just like snap you open.
Yeah.
One of my favorite zombie kills, I've probably talked about it before, is on, I think it's Dawn of the Dead. Is that the first one in the mall?
The
one
70s,
in the mall, yeah.
The Mall Rats Mall. And there's a scene where, I think it's in Dawn of the Dead, where somebody's getting, I feel like it's a cop or a security guard, it doesn't matter. Some dude's getting pulled apart by zombies, and he's screaming, and one of them grabs his head and like slowly pulls his head, like, and you see his like neck stretching, and he pulls his head off of the torso. As he's screaming, his voice goes squeaky. He's like, ah! His vocal cords are getting stretched. Whoever thought that? Like, it was probably Romero, because he was such a fucked up. Like, that is such a fucked up and hilarious and brilliant thought to put that little detail in as he's screaming his face off. His voice gets squeaky as his vocal cords are no longer able to do their thing. Okay, so Christopher, excellent guess. Eaten Alive was number 4. So it's funny. So 5 was Burned Alive.
Wait, didn't you already get number 4?
4 was I did accidentally give you Eaten Alive, but I fixed it. But it doesn't matter now. 5, because I originally had you. I confused 2 of these, but 5 was Burned Alive, 4 was Eaten Alive, 3 was Boiled Alive, and 2 was Skinned Alive. So we don't want to die while we're alive.
No.
We just have to be dead first, and then no one cares how we die.
Kill me when I'm dead.
So that's worth. Sorry.
No, continue.
It's almost easy, Chris. I almost don't have the time. All right, 16 plus 7, I believe, is 23, right? That brings you to 23. Okay. So this is getting pretty tough.
John Mark
y'all.
said was "Kill me when I'm dead" would be a perfect tattoo.
That's a great name for something.
Well, a tattoo, like a ribbon you put underneath the tattoo.
All right, John Mark, you're going to need a big one here to stay toe-to-toe with Chris, because Lyle's already ahead of you.
What number was melted by acid?
Number 1. The top 5 are gone.
Crazy.
Interestingly, nothing. The bottom 5 in the top 10 are still open. Nothing from those have been chosen.
A lot of these are horrible, but
none of them aren't.
What? I'm going with one that I think increasingly creeps me out the more that I think about it, and like the older I get, like, because I used to think like, I don't really have any phobias or anything, like whatever, but like I realized that in certain conditions I would be extremely claustrophobic, and I'm not talking about like getting stuck in the closet or some shit like that. Like, that's whatever, right?
Yeah.
But like stuck in a deep, dark, tight cave.
Yeah.
True
claustrophobia. I believe that was a claustrophobian slip. Yeah. So is that what you're going with, Joe?
Yeah, I'm going with that one.
That third pumpkin ale's kicking in. Well, that is the first of 2 Ronster answers, and you described it exactly as I described it. I'm not claustrophobic in like I like climbing under the blankets, and I fall asleep under my blankets all the time. When I was a kid, I loved building forts. I'll still build a fort every now and again. I like climbing into cozy little nooks. I don't freak out when I get things like CAT scans and all that. It's not my favorite thing. I get a little like, oh, that's awful close to my face. But the idea, and I don't go anywhere near putting myself in this predicament, but the idea of being trapped in like craggly, deep, dark rock caves and you just can't move, that is my hell. If
and maybe even you're upside down, right?
Well, there was a podcast I listened to, Morbid, and one of the podcasts they did a few months ago was talking about this dude. It's a very famous story where
27 Hours guy?
No.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's the dude that cut his arm off, yeah?
Yeah, because
No,
he was stuck upside
this
down.
was a dude that went to some famous, I feel like it was in Arizona somewhere, but it doesn't matter. Some spelunkering, it was a popular place for spelunkerers, and he had done a lot of spelunkering, and he was climbing down in one of these places. I think he was with his wife or his girlfriend, and he went into this crazy fucking narrow, super deep cavern. It was just barely wide enough to scrape yourself. Like, even just the thought of scraping yourself against the rock to climb down. I'm just like, I'm having a hard time telling the story.
No.
He ended up getting stuck upside down, and so whoever he was with went to go get help after they tried everything to pull him out. There were other spelunkerers and climbers in the area. They tried tying him with the rope. They could not budge him. Finally, they went and got like a full proper medical or emergency crew, rescue crew, and they were able to successfully get him sort of lassoed, and they could hear him. They sent him down a radio, and he was like, this was hours and hours and hours that he was upside down. He's like, I'm blacking out, I'm passing out. I can't really, he couldn't think straight. They went to get his brother for moral support on the other end of the radios. Like, you got this, buddy. We're coming in after you. And he was going in and out of consciousness, and they were able to pull him up about 9 feet, but then the rope broke, and he fell back down to where he was, but only further. And with the force of the fall, he wedged even harder.
No.
And they were
God,
like, after something like 20 some hours of trying to rescue this dude, they're like, we can't do this. We can't get this guy. And so they called all of his, this is a fucking true story. This is perfect for Around the Campfire, especially if you are fucking, it's tragic, but it's horrifying. Especially if you're claustrophobic. Can I say that word? They actually came to the cave, the outskirts of the cave. They couldn't really talk to him outside of just the radio communication, and they said their goodbyes. Like, they literally just said their goodbye, and they stood there as long as they could bear it, and they just had to leave the guy there to die. Now, if that isn't tragic enough, he was so far down that they never were able to get him. They filled in the hole that he crawled into, and it's his tomb. He's still down there, upside down, as a skeleton in the place that he got stuck. If you can bear, believe it or not, there are way more details than this, and it's hard to listen to. I'm sure there are plenty of podcasts and plenty of places to find it, but just look at dude that died upside down in a cavern. So yeah, that is to me hands down the worst possible way you could die. The place that I would have to go in my head to not just be screaming and crying, and he was crying. It was sad. It was like he knew at one point that it was like, this is how I end.
This is it.
Dark fucking story, man. It's one of the most disturbing things. And I've listened to, at this point, I would be surprised if I wasn't close to hitting 1,000. I must be close to hitting. I mean, Jesus, we've almost recorded 500 podcasts. I've at least listened to 1,000 true crime and like super dark, terrible, true stories. And I don't think anything made me like hit me in the fucking gut quite like this story. So yeah, I didn't mean to get on that long-winded rant there. That's a whole separate podcast that I never want to talk about again, ever. A terrible, terrible fucking tragic death, and he's still down there. Like, that's the grave they go visit, is just the filled-in hole that he crawled into. Anyway, so you got, that was one of the Ronsters bonus questions, so that's worth 5. That got you up to 13, so you're now back in second. Lyle, you're going to need number 6 or number 7 to stay in this. We'll do a couple more rounds, but we're We're getting down there because Chris has 23, and we only got 4 more. So give it your best here. Oh, we got 5 more, I guess, with mine.
I'm gonna go slowly dismembered because I think that would be kind of horrible. Because if you're slowly dismembered, you know, it's a slow process,
Yeah.
and it would be torturous because you know the first part, like when you cut my leg off, really hurt really bad.
Yeah.
But now you're gonna cut my testicle off and then go to my arm.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like
Slow dismemberment. Yeah, that is terrible. It is in the top. It is number 9, so that gets you 2 points. That bumps you up to 12, 1 behind John Mark. Yeah, and you know, I guess this is tied to being eaten alive, but I think it was Hostel. It's one of the Hostel movies. I think it's Hostel 2.
Oh, yeah, those are horrible.
Where someone was strapped down. For anyone that doesn't know the premise of Hostel, the Hostel movies, it's this terrible place somewhere in undescribed Europe, I believe. And rich people, not necessarily rich people, but people with money
Power
to do
and
it.
authority.
They just pay. If you have the money to do it, you pay to go to a place to torture people and kill them. Do whatever you want with them. So there's like this, on the one hand of it, it's kidnapping and trafficking to get the people into this torture chamber. And people show up, and whatever their quote-unquote torture kink is, that's what they do to you. And one guy in one of these was a cannibal, but he had to eat you alive. So he strapped you to the table, and he poured himself a glass of red wine, put on some classical music on the hi-fi, and just slowly started carving into you as you screamed your fucking face off. You're strapped down. You can't do anything. I believe he started in the juicy part of his thigh. It just starts eating him. I'm like, whoo! That would do it. And you know what's fucked up to think about now is like, how many of these things that were thought up by, you know, demented entertainers have now actually played out? You know, whether they inspired it or not. And maybe that happened before. I'm sure someone sat down and ate somebody alive before this movie came out. But it's like, how many people have actually had to experience things like this? Pretty fucking horrific thought. Anyway.
Well, the thing, you could keep somebody alive for a long time doing that, though, too.
Yeah.
And so it's just like an ongoing, never-ending thing.
It's fucking pretty horrific.
Ugh.
Pretty twisted thought. And pretty hard to watch. But also, that's a fucked up thing about horror movies. You know, it's like, it hits this weird part of you. At least those of us that really love horror movies. It hits this weird part of you that where you gotta laugh at some point. It's like, oh no. You know, it turns into a laugh. It's like, I can't believe I'm fucking seeing this. It's like, it's the strangest laugh. You're not laughing in a humorous way. It's just like, it's almost like an escape to get away from it.
It's a defense mechanism.
But you can also see the cartoonishness of what you're actually watching. Okay, so Lyle, that was worth 1. So 12 to 13 to 23. Interesting. Chris, if you get one here, we'll call it a game. If you don't, we'll do one more round and see what happens.
Man, in a world where most of us have probably stumbled onto at some point in our lives some awful video of some guy getting decapitated. Getting slowly decapitated, I think, is pretty high up on my list.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
It doesn't make you feel good.
I remember some time long ago, it was able to be leaked on. Mexican cartels were like getting their videos leaked on through Facebook. And I remember watching one going, was that real?
Oh, yeah. You know,
and it would, goddamn it, it was probably fucking real.
Yeah,
it's just like,
I have
oh my
regrets for some of the
goodness.
shit that I used to watch, and some of the worst stuff I watched, I didn't mean to watch. It's just suddenly
No, it just popped up in my thing. Yeah.
You know what's the worst for that right now is fucking Twitter. Like I don't know what
I don't
Elon
even
Musk
have
is
Twitter
doing
anymore.
with Twitter. It is filled with just horrible videos of animal cruelty, torture, people dying. I don't understand why he's allowing that to be on there. That shouldn't ever just be a thing that can pop up. Like, if you want to call it the freedom of press or whatever, the freedom to access things that exist, whatever, put that in a place, make it very fucking clear. You can see anything on Twitter. Any damn thing. Well, you did get 3 points there, which takes you up to 36.
Call it. Call this race.
Let's call it. I don't think you guys can catch up. So I'll just tell you the rest of the top 5 here. So the ones you didn't get were number 6, Tortured by Knives. Very specific. Number 7.
Knives were captured by robots.
Number 7 was Blood Eagle, another one I had to look up, which is being cut open and splayed like a bird and hung on the tree, which I believe that was in Silence of the Lambs. Or something like that was. You got an 8 and 9, but you did not get number 10, which was Devoured by Dogs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would suck. Yeah.
Human Centipede was all the way up on 17, but I was like, depending on whose ass you're eating,
Right.
mind
You
dying.
need diabetes.
Versus.
But you know the way life pans out. You ain't going to be eating ass from someone you want to be eating ass in the Human Centipede scenario. All right, well, that was fun.
And gets to fucking eat everybody's ass.
Quick breakaroo.
Quick break, and then we'll do some weird triv around the old campfire here.
Word.
All right. Yeah.
I got a little before we get started here. Got a little Diamond Dog soccer update for y'all.
Oh, I hoped you would.
Who to what now?
You didn't win
The,
one, did you?
Oh, we talked about this on the last podcast you missed, buddy. But I'm coaching my kids' soccer team, and we've lost every single fucking game.
Well,
It's
damn it.
been brutal. But we fucking won one on Saturday.
About time.
Like 7 or 8-2.
Nice.
My kids scored 4 goals. It was awesome. But yeah, nice to get. I just wanted that one win because we've been just fucking demoralized every week.
Yeah.
Well, how's it feel?
But it was good. Kids were happy. We were happy. It was like, fuck yeah, let's do this again. Nah.
Nah. We only get one win a year.
A winning season.
But my kid is, yeah, no shit. My kid's really fucking athletic, so I've got to get him in on these things, so he knows something about soccer, and grow him. Because I'm just like, yes, strike, hit, do the thing.
Right? Intercepted. Wait. That's good.
It'd be great if it was baseball. I'd have useful shit, but I just don't know anything about soccer.
And kick, ball, spin, turn. Yeah.
All right, John Mark, you back with us too, buddy?
Yes.
All right, you want to do some weird trib?
Yes.
Let's roll.
All right.
It's Weird Trivia with Christopher F. Hart. A man from Florida who thinks square shit in nature. Don't get me started on the goddamn brown Harry. It's Weird Trivia that might get Christopher fired.
Okay. Question 1, guys. A scientific study recently found that Viagra has other useful uses. An article posted by the Daily Mail, which is kind of a rag, recently shared
But so useful.
that you can use Viagra to effectively do this. Is it A? It perks up freshly cut plants and flowers.
It couldn't possibly. Yeah.
It can B, keep away ticks and other harmful pests.
Wow. Like bed bugs.
That would actually be very handy.
Well, some
Bites off
hotel rooms might be.
Is it C, extends the life of certain dairy products?
Oh. Your yogurt.
Viagra
Or-
cheese?
Would you like some fucking bag your
Do
yogurt?
not want Viagra cheese.
Or is it D, it reduced the risk of both heart disease and cancer in rodents?
Oh, baby, it might be a cure-all. Could you imagine? We just walk around with
Just
hard-ons forever.
Add some vitamin D in there and the one pill a day stitch.
You got it all.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Okay, again,
I think I have a clue.
a scientific study showed recently that Viagra has some other uses. Was it A, it perks up freshly cut plants and flowers, B, keeps away ticks and other harmful pests, extends the life of certain dairy products, or reduces the risk of both heart disease and cancer in rodents?
Well,
Ronster.
I'm not leaning toward D because I feel like Viagra is one of those things where it has all sorts of side effects that you hear. What you might die death by death,
yeah.
but worth it. Somewhere in that dialogue. But pushing up daisies, quite literally, is interesting. But I feel like too cartoonish. I feel like it couldn't possibly just make.
I'm so glad John Mark brought this Halloween candy around the campfire. Thanks, buddy.
Is that good candy corn? It couldn't possibly
love
just
candy
make
corn.
all things erect. Could it? I do. I do like the thought of it. What was it, a pesticide or a repellent?
Keep away ticks and other harmful pests.
Yeah, Lyle hewed it toward bed bugs, so I couldn't get that part out of my head. But that's more appropriate. I'm gonna go with that. Wait, what was C?
Dairy products extends the life.
Oh God, that's a weird one. How the fuck would it even be used?
These preservative? I don't know.
Boy, I am torn between the bed bugs and the hard-on cheese, as we often find ourselves. I'm gonna go with the cheese.
Going with the cheese.
What about the cheese? It extends the life. Well, you didn't say cheese.
Certain dairy products.
I inferred cheese, but
Certain dairy products.
Yeah. Okay. John Mark.
Let's go with D because that would be cool, I guess.
Okay. Gotcha. Thanks again for the candy.
I'm just thinking theoretically, like D is kind of like the ultimate answer because, like, when you get a heart on, obviously it's just blood, right? So, like, your heart beats blood. So, like, if your heart's beating blood faster, maybe that's just like moving shit out of your heart faster that maybe could cause cancer.
clearing you out.
Okay.
Huh? Keeping things moving.
You going with D
Seems
as
like
well
an
then?
Little
I think so.
Drano for the Vano.
Exactly.
I said it.
Yeah.
Shit, you don't regret it. You know what I'm
You
saying?
did. You sure fucking
I
did.
did. No denying.
Okay. There are certain questions I write.
What are you
where I'm
eating?
like,
It's got to be candy corn, right?
Yeah, a Kit Kat. It was a Kit Kat.
Oh, I missed that.
I got all the Halloween candy already, so I'm fucking ready. This year I did it, guys.
But are you
I
gonna
did
be-
something I've always wanted to fucking do as a fat kid forever. Full-size candy bars.
Oh,
I got
baby.
2 boxes of full-size candy
shit.
bars.
You step.
And then I had to buy like lesser candy to put out when I take my kid trick-or-treating,
Sure.
Yeah. Well, you're
Full-size
gonna be the
candy
cool
bars?
guy.
Motherfucker, they're going to fucking make you their new king.
I hope so. I fucking hope so.
You'd be
All
the
right.
new Lord of the Flies.
Okay. Washed down my Kit Kat with some red wine.
they're all
I'm
Charleston
drunk.
chews.
Okay. Here we go. Oh my god, my dream.
It doesn't fit in my bag.
I'll take them all. Okay. Lana Del Rey recently got married. I don't know if you guys saw this. If you did, don't say anything here.
I did see it.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Her choice in men often raises some eyebrows. Her new beau is no different. She recently married a guy named Jeremy Dufresne, whose occupation is this. Is it A, junkyard owner?
He looks it.
Master Bator.
Is it B, exotic animal taxidermist?
Well, that makes more sense for her.
Is it C, moonshine distiller? Or is it D, licensed swamp boat tour guide?
My moonshine tastes like Pepsi Cola. Where's the cherry cola?
I got that swampy time sadness.
What do you
Swamp.
I got that pontoon boat blowjob. I thought I heard what he did for a living, but none of these sound right. I knew. Well, you can't mistake the dude for being a blue collar guy. I mean, he
Yeah.
looks like.
All of the above.
I mean, I don't mean this in any kind of way other than style
Yes,
and just appearance. He looks like a janitor that helped a lost Lana Del Rey backstage find her way to the
His
fancy
trailer?
people.
yeah. Yeah.
Did I say that in a non-offensive way?
Sure.
I love Lana Del Rey. I like a lot of her music. I think she's a kooky dude. I don't know a lot about her. I know that there's some people have had issues with some of the things she said politically, maybe. I don't know. I don't follow her that much, but she is an interesting lyricist. And this guy kind of gives off, I would say, somewhat daddy energy. Like dad, maybe not daddy energy, but dad energy. And she has a lot of daddy issue lyrics. I don't know if she actually has daddy issues, but she sings about daddy issues.
Wild going.
She sings a lot about daddy issues. It's kind of a whole thing. That's her whole shtick, is like heart on sleeve. I'm fucked up. I'm addicted to pills, and I fuck for attention. You know, her lyrics are amazing. I fucking love Lana Del Rey. The pontoon boat sounds familiar, but what was the second one?
Exotic animal taxidermist.
I made it the pontoon. Oh. I'm going to go with the boat.
Going with the swamp boat tour guide.
Swamp boat.
License.
God,
Affiliate license.
none of these. I'm going to go with that. None of these sound right.
Commit.
I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to move on. I have no convictions here. But to me, what's more interesting is just the overall vibe of the dude. Like, he is the guy that could work any of these jobs, and not a penny more. Like, he must be so... I wonder what he's like. Like, what it feels like to be him. Like, I mean,
pretty fucking good.
Famous,
pretty fucking good right
beautiful,
now.
famous, talented, popular musicians just don't tend to fall in love with regular Joes. I'm not like putting this dude down. It's the society. It's a story because this is the society we live in. And I remember seeing the story pop up and thinking, really, that guy?
One day, I was totaling this Ford Focus 01 in the junkyard, and the next day,
I'm eating out Lana Del Rey. Life is
that
crazy
same
that
Ford
way.
Focus.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what she's worth, but I bet she's doing fairly well. I mean, she's funny because she's a pop artist, but not a pop artist. She's big, but not huge.
Sure. Yeah.
But it was a story. I mean, I saw it as a meme. I think the meme I saw was, "This is Lana Del Rey's new husband." So you mean to tell me all this time I actually did have a chance?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
John Mark.
I'm going with that too. The swamp boat operator.
Okay. Lyle.
Okay.
Swamp boat, swamper time.
Safe bet at this point, even if we're all wrong. I got the swamp boat blues.
Swamp boat, swamper time.
I think that's the clue.
Listen, if her new album is not Swamper Time, I'll eat my own hat.
It had a melody.
It did.
Oh, it's a summertime.
That Swamper Time, bow guy.
Boat. He could be a new country singer, dude. What should be almost like that one guy, Jelly Roll.
Oh, he
Jelly
could.
Roll,
Well, see, there you go. He could be a famous guy. He could be a country guy. Country guys can look. There was a while there where you still had to be fairly chiseled and fairly attractive as a lead country guy, but that's faded.
Well, I got to my boat and I grabbed my rope and I took my hoverboat down to the swamplands. Yeah.
All right, guys. All right.
No, that's my country song.
I've gathered myself again after that. Question 3. This musician was such a fan of Motorhead's Lemmy that he just recently got a tattoo in honor of him. But he took it a step further. He had a small amount of Lemmy's ashes mixed in with the ink of the tattoo he received.
Rock and roll, bro.
Who did this? This is recently, too. Like last few months. Is it A, Ozzy?
I love you all. That's what he said all the time.
B,
I love you all.
Slash.
Take me to the jungle. We got swamp boats and games.
Swamp boat sad.
Too soon.
We got
Oh, was it C, James Hetfield?
Fuck yeah.
Or was it D, Alice Cooper?
I'm gonna need the question again.
This musician was such a fan of Motorhead's Lemmy that he recently got a tattoo in honor of him, mixed with Lemmy's ashes into the ink. Was it Ozzy Osbourne, Slash of Guns N' Roses, James Hetfield of Metallica, or Alice Cooper?
Ace
Didn't
of
this come
spades.
up on the show not that long ago?
Ace of spades.
Something about Lemmy's ashes being it, or maybe. Oh no, I'm thinking.
Lemmy comes up a lot. I don't know why. I'm not even a huge Motorhead
putting
fan.
people's ashes in tattoos came up. Is when people were getting cement. That's where you remember that where people were getting cement instead of ashes. It was like the
from
return to nature or whatever the
Return
fuck.
to nature. Yeah.
So people were actually putting ashes in their body, thinking it was, or they thinking, you know what I'm saying.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
that's where,
Poison.
because I was trying, like, there's something I know, but I guess I don't know anything. Judging from those names, I know Slash is a huge Lemmy fan. I know James Hetfield is a huge Lemmy fan. Obviously, Ozzy and Lemmy were friends. A lot of people don't know that Lemmy wrote one of Ozzy's biggest hits, and it's a ballad. Mama, I'm coming home. The least Lemmy-sounding song in Ozzy Osbourne's career.
No shit.
Oh. And what was the fourth one?
Alice Cooper.
Alice Cooper. I'm gonna go. Boy, it's a complete guess. I'm gonna go James Hetfield.
Yeah, I'll put you down for James Hetfield. John Mark.
Yeah, I'm going Hetfield as well.
Really? Dude, because I'm kind of hung up on it. I would have seen like maybe Dave Grohl do something like that.
Yeah,
he's too
Busy
Dave
starting
and
this
Lemmy
side
were
project
pretty,
right now.
pretty
Well,
good
he's a
friends.
huge fan of Lemmy.
I think these guys were all
Huge fan.
pretty good friends with Lemmy too. I mean, Slash
Yeah.
was on. Slash did a solo album, and Lemmy sang on one of that. They were collaborators and friends, and could be anybody.
Well, guitar players and bass players, and usually you hang out with your own.
You know, the reason I chose James Hetfield has nothing to do with anything except the image from the Lemmy documentary, where Lemmy was doing like a guest appearance on a Metallica show. When Metallica was backstage before Lemmy showed up, James was like kind of not mocking but imitating Lemmy. You know how he always had the microphone like way over his head and singing up. James was trying to like sing that way, and he's like, "Oh no, I can't do that." Very specific vocal cord strain. What do you think, Lyle?
I hate to say it, but I'm gonna go with actually Ozzy. I mean, he's
say-
old.
No,
I
I was
think he's
feeling-
old in his age, but I think it's something he would do.
Take a
and
little
not
piece of
really have
Lemmy
any
with him.
Repercussions about it.
No, I almost went with Ozzy too for that reason. Ozzy loved Lemmy.
Excuse me.
Well,
Okay,
I don't think he would have any qualms with it. He's hardcore fucking rock style in his ways, and I think he biting fucking bat heads off. I'm sure.
Oh, that's the least
would-
thing
Yeah,
he's
I
put in
mean,
his body.
Exactly. So.
All right, this last question here, I'm trying to read over it, and it's a fucking mess. But it's a great story, so I'm just going to tell the story as I would if I was telling a friend about something I heard about, and give you guys the answers here. A few months back, somebody famous was in France doing some shoe shopping, and they have like their entourage and with them as they're going store to store, and they stumble into a fancy high-end shoe store. And all of a sudden, this person says, "I gotta use the bathroom. Where's the closest bathroom?" And the shop owner's like, "Well, it's, down that way, that." And the guy the famous person waves him off and just gestures to his entourage, who hands him an empty plastic water bottle. And this person proceeds to just relieve themselves into the water bottle in the middle of the store. The store owner is fucking flabbergasted, and the security guard pulls him aside, tells him who it is, apologizes. Famous person buys several pairs of high-end shoes. They leave. But the story did get out that this happened. Who was this person that just had to piss in a fucking water bottle in the middle of a high-end shoe store in France?
I'd love to know where you find your stories, because obviously I'm always rounding up weird stories for the show, like for the wacky headlines, wacky news roundups. Dying to know where you find this shit.
All over the place, man. The dark web.
You don't want to go down that road.
It's one of those new Adobe apps. Chris has been.
He's got AI on it.
Oh, I wish that I can just hand this over to AI to write. Oh my god.
Give me the fucked up fucking
Someday.
goddamn Florida stories.
I gotta look into that.
Yeah.
All right. Who
It ain't
was
there
it?
yet, but
Just
some-
pissed in a water bottle, handed it directly back to their security detail, and proceeded to buy shoes. Was it A, Russell Crowe?
Oh.
Okay.
Was it
you not
B,
in a
Elton
day?
John?
I'm still peeing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm done peeing.
Be happy it's an 11.
Okay.
Is it B? Elton John got it. Was it C, William Shatner?
Well, we're getting more and more toward age. Like,
Well done, Captain Kirk. I
we
need
got
my
ourselves
shoes. I'm
emergency.
Captain Kirk, and I need my shoes. Give me that piss bottle. I'm telling you.
Starlog, gotta pee now. Okay.
Or is it D,
Captain's
Chevy
log.
Chase?
Captain's log. I must urinate
Chevy
now.
Chase.
Yeah, Russell Crowe, Elton John, The Shat, or Chevy Chase. One of the guys did this not too long ago.
Oh Jesus.
Ronster.
On the
Size 11.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's hard for me to not get.
Goodbye, goodbye, you're in. It's the best of our song.
Goodbye, yellow kissed bottle. It's hard for me to get the music out of my head. That's making me want to go with Elton John.
You gotta do that goodbye Norma Jean. Goodbye, but like with urine somehow. Goodbye, my urine. It's
Goodbye, full bladder.
now it begins.
Jesus, I'm tempted to go with Will Shat because we've all heard the old Shatner panties, but maybe Will. Oh, I really wish I had
Issues
some
with the
here.
bladder?
If I had one less drink, I'd know I could have pulled something clever out of this. But just. Although, God, Jesus, Will's got to be like almost 90, right? Is he 90?
At least. At
Maybe he
least.
is even 90.
He's like 92.
He's 92.
I think so.
Well, let's say this was
Give me that bottle.
when he was in his roaring 90s. He'd still probably be in diapers. So he's covered. I'm going to go this route with my logic here. Let me Ronalize here a bit. Will Shat is shatting in his panties.
Okay.
And no judgment. Jesus Christ, 92.
I think that's right.
The next oldest would be Elton John. Probably similar. Well, no, Elton John's. He's probably in his 70s. He's probably still peeing in jars.
I wonder if his junk
I'm
is
sorry.
like bedazzled.
Who-
You know what I
what are the
mean?
other
'Cause he's
two?
like
Russell
his-
Crowe
all his costumes.
Crow.
and Chevy Chase.
All right, I'm taking up too much time. My
Chevy Chase is
Ronalizing is
81.
not helping me. I'm gonna go with Chevy's 81. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Holy shit! Jesus, old is so different than old
No.
used to be, man. Okay, fuck it.
yeah.
I'm just gonna pick one out of the hat. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna stick with Elton.
Elton John.
I'm still Elton. Peeing in a bottle. Russell Crowe probably makes the
Crocodile
most sense
drain.
because I've heard so many like weird diva stories. Like he's kind of a diva. He would be the kind of guy that
Sure.
would pee in a bottle and be like, away with it.
Yeah, take my waist and put it with the rest of the jaws.
I'm gonna let everybody finish, but before we move on, I got a little pee in a bottle story that I want to share. But John Mark, what say you?
Let's go with Russell Crowe.
Yeah, I'm glad someone's going Russell Crowe. It's a very high possibility.
Okay, Lyle.
Oh, did Ron go pee or something? No.
You can't hear?
You know, you guys, when you first started saying William Shatner, I was like, no way. But he's like, Captain's log must urinate now. And so
92
I'm
is all
gonna-
you need to know about them shits.
That's all you know. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
And if a guy has to pee, he's going to have an entourage with a bottle for him to pee in. And that would be it'd be William Shatner. I'm really sad you didn't have that rapper that peed on him.
Diddy?
Oh,
P Diddy.
no,
No,
R.
not P
Kelly.
Diddy. R. Kelly.
R. Kelly.
Yeah.
Is that R. Kelly? Yeah.
You should have had R. Kelly as a guest.
Drip, drip. He's in prison, man.
Yeah,
I'll be on you.
Yeah, he's being everywhere now.
We could have been
People
on
peeing
release.
on him now.
It's all right.
All right, well, guys, this has been interesting.
Well, hang on.
Let's go over. Yeah.
Real quick.
Oh, pee in the bottle. Sorry.
1998. I'm at the Flaming Lips.
Set the stage.
We're like, oh no.
I'm at the Flaming Lips show at the Show Box. My 98, 99 with a whole bunch of Wenatchee friends that at that point were living in Seattle, and I had to pee so fucking bad. But I at this point, this was my favorite era of the Flaming Lips. Is before they got like huge. It was the Show Box. Like a year later, they were doing arenas and the bubble tours and all that stuff. But years later. I knew my favorite song was coming up, and I didn't want to fight my way to the bathroom, and I had to pee so bad. And I had one of those nice, I don't know if you remember this. It was a thing in the 90s, again, before fancy beers, where you had the wide mouth Coors Light bottles. I was a big Coors Light guy in the 90s.
Oh, sure.
And I looked down at that bottle, I'm like, that's a nice, easy target. Unlike, a bottle where you gotta really be careful with the bottle. But with the wide mouth, I'm like, okay, gather around, gang. And I only half meant it as a joke. And I was like, all my friends, these were like 5 women, 3 dudes, and my wife at the time. I was like, will you all gather around me in a circle so that I can pee in this bottle and not miss this next song? And they're like, fine, Ron. They all circled around me, facing outward.
Here we go again.
To be respectful.
Okay.
And they let me pee in the middle of that super packed crowd, and I didn't miss a song. And I was like, this is one of my favorite moments in life.
Those are bros.
This is like a silly, stupid little, and gross. I found it, I held the bottles, not like I set it down and let nature take its course. I carried it to the bathroom and dumped it, but I didn't miss the thing. One of my favorite moments in life was peeing in a bottle, surrounded by
had to do that
true loved
line
ones at a Flaming Lip show.
At the Gorge. At George, there, it was. I think it was all Palooza, dude. So there's 30,000 people there, and the lines were really fucking they're just so backed up, and I had to piss.
Well, that was back when they had like 10 outhouses.
Yeah, but they're like 30 feet away, and there's no way you'd have to go to the back of the line. Nobody'd save you.
Yeah.
And I just said fuck it, and I just said fuck it, and I whipped my dick out, and I fucking had my motorcycle tank bag with me. And I just kind of held it to the side, and then just urinated, when I could, fucking right there in the line. I was like, screw it. People were like, ew, and the other people were like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I get it. All right, I know we're running long, but this is our only. We got to make up from missing a month, and we're probably going to miss a couple more weeks. But I have to. I have to ask. Because I have a very specific memory. I got to know where the weirdest and maybe most shameful place you guys ever peed. Do you have anything?
Oh, that had been my story, yeah.
Well, Lyle just had one. I'll let you guys think while I tell mine. It's not an interesting story. It's just what the fuck was I thinking? I was on an elevator in a local building. This was back in the 90s. I wasn't, it's Wenatchee. We don't have super tall buildings.
No, there's like 2 that are over.
Like if you're on an elevator and you're already moving, you are not terribly far away from a bathroom. But I had to pee so bad. I'm like, and I was a little drunk, not kinda, but a little. And I'm like, I'm just gonna unzip my fucking pants right here and piss in the fucking elevator. I peed.
Nobody's gonna know.
Right in the corner / carpet of that elevator. And I peed a lot, and I'm like, oh shit, because I'm still going, and I'm about halfway to where I'm headed, but I was like, oh shit, someone's about to get on. I just pinched it off best I could, zipped it up, and
somebody pissed in here. Watch out!
Hey, look at that bubblies.
I moved to the dry side because I'm not an animal.
You stand
And
over in
the poor person that got into the elevator with me went right to the
That's
spongy
why-
side. And
Squash.
I'm not even joking. I could
You
hear.
were like, what floor?
I could hear every step of like, yeah, going down. No,
You're like, would you
no,
like a
you're not.
breath
Miss.
mint?
This is as low as it gets for your day. I assure you, I didn't get off on this. This wasn't like.
No,
It was just a weird fucking thing I
horrible
did.
accident.
I can't explain it because I don't think I had to pee that badly. And again, I was in a space that I knew I could get to a bathroom within probably a minute. Once that elevator opened up, it was just like. Anyway, what about you guys, John Mark, Chris? Embarrassing, regretful peeing decision?
Man, I can't really think of anything like
No, good for you.
embarrassing or regretful, but when I peed on the dead deers, that was kind of freaky.
Ooh,
Oh,
full
yeah,
circle.
yeah,
That
dead
goes back to
deers.
our very first Halloween show.
Yeah, that
Scary
was
dish.
The defining moment.
You know what?
was
That
very
probably,
strange.
That's probably why that fucking deer ended up hitting us on the way back from High on Fire.
It's revenge.
It was the spirit of the deer, wasn't it? Up that blew it
Oh,
past where
I-
you found those dead deers.
Yeah.
No, that was on the way to Chelan,
Oh.
like on the west side of the river. There was like a
Peed on dead deers.
yeah, it was like a big I don't know, like a
This
just
is
like
somehow more disrespectful than the
turnout.
elevator.
They dug a big hole and they just had like thrown all the roadkill in there, but it was trees and shit and branches and stuff too, so you couldn't really tell what was what until you're like took a second to like kind of see what was going on around you, and then like, oh, there's a bunch of dead deer down here. What the fuck?
Zip.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah, that was a weird story. Chris, sound like something occurred to you?
The only thing that comes to mind, sorry, I'm eating more John Mark's candy. Jesus Christ, John
Get
Mark.
it?
This is good
I'm
shit.
sorry.
You're gonna regret getting those full-size bars.
When I was like in the third grade, I think I've told this story on this cast. I think I was in the third grade or second grade. My stepmom took me to a bookstore in the mall, and I'm old enough to not know. It's not a fucking appropriate time to piss your pants. Okay.
Yeah.
And I had to go pee so fucking bad, and I couldn't get her out of the bookstore. And all of a sudden, I just pissed my pants in that bookstore. I remember walking around the aisles, so embarrassed, and this sad little worker at the bookstore mopping behind me.
Oh God.
No.
Never forget it. That doesn't count.
Yeah, the
That's-
little squirter won't stop.
little
We're just
kid
gonna,
that's-
it's gonna follow him.
you didn't mean to pee there. Like, I
There's
don't
a stark
count the times
difference
that I
between our stories.
peed in my best friend's closet when I was 8 because we were laughing too hard, hiding from his dipshit brother. I peed in the closet, and I know there's another closet story. Believe it or not, I have lots of closet stories.
Weird.
And, this one, the pee started in the closet, and then I'm like, okay, the jig's up. We're not going to be able to scare your brother. I have to run to the bathroom, which was just down the hallway. I'm peeing the whole time, peeing in the closet, down the hallway, across the bathroom floor. That's where it really got loud, and finally made it to the bathroom. Yeah, I don't count those though.
Yeah,
I meant
can't
like
think of a
some
good
place that you're
adult
just
one.
gonna, you know what? I'm gonna piss here for whatever reason. I'm just gonna go ahead and piss here. You don't have a.
I
Don't
I
have a
will
good
say
one.
this though. When I went to Mexico, and I won't name any names, I learned that there's a shocking amount of adults that piss in the pool,
Oh,
and that
Oh yeah. Well, once we learned that the dye thing's a myth, right?
yeah, I was just like, man, you guys, I've had to pee like 3 times. Do you know where the bathroom is? And they're like, right fucking here, bro. I'm like,
come on in.
oh
The
my
water's
God.
warm, baby.
Okay. Well, I think you
no.
did just kind of tell on. You narrowed it down.
I know. I used false. They them's everything. It's you have no idea.
It's,
But
No.
so
Like all of them?
I'm not saying who, but there was a lot. I
Okay.
encountered some people that confided in me that they've always peed in the pool, and I was like, wow.
some people do.
See, look. If you're in a public pool, you're swimming in pee. That's a given, but that's
Oh,
because of the
100%.
kids. The adults.
No,
I get in the public pools anyway, and I never will. But
Well, what do you think
did-
about
I
like
did- I went
public
to-
hot tubs? Like in hotels.
I don't know. I just said I peed in an elevator, but
I did end up peeing in the pool one time because I was like, I feel left. Maybe I should. What's the big deal? It was a little freeing, but also disgusting. And
Felt warm. It felt good.
Yeah.
I haven't done it
Felt
since
bad.
I was a child, and I never liked the sensation of it. Because
yeah.
you're first of all, you're peeing the pool, but before you pee the pool, you're peeing yourself.
I never thought
You're
about
the
that.
first victim in this crime, and it ain't natural. It's so much warmer than. It's like, I cannot do it. No. God bless you people who just don't care that you're swimming in public urine. I have a certain respect, but mostly I have a certain disgust for you people that just go to a fucking random hotel and just jump in the pool. Yeah, go ahead, Lon.
Should we turn it up one notch and ask a little bit of roundabout who your worstest pooped your pants story?
I think you guys know my story. No, I don't believe I ever recanted it on this version of the podcast, but the old podcast, it was a running gag. And gag is the appropriate word.
both running, both gagging.
And no, I'm not going to bring that up here. Now I'm going to have to answer it in person because I got too many people. No, but you guys, by all means, share your fucking story,
man.
Well, you definitely. I promise you don't have one that beats mine.
Oh God, I do have one, and it always, because when we talk about the pee thing, I think about the poop thing because it was the worst thing ever. Because like almost like when you have an upset stomach, with diarrhea and whatnot, then it's like you peeing out your butt anyway. So I was at an event in town, and everything was good. And like prior to that, we were at a restaurant eating a bunch of seafood stuff, and I thought, well, there was crab claws and stuff like that, and all buttered up and whatnot. And I figured my stomach could take it, no problem. And I ate a bunch of it, and then throughout the show, I'm like, oh God, my stomach feels really bad. So I go, and I was definitely food poisoned, right? So I go to the bathroom, and I open up a stall, and I started puking, and then at the same time, I had to shit because it was mud butt.
Oh, you beefed.
So as fast as I could, I put my pants down to my knees, and I sat down and started shitting, water, and then I started to throw up again, and I didn't want to get throw up or on me, so I stood back up to throw back up in the toilet, and I ended up fucking shooting the stall door.
Oh no!
Oh, it was horrible. Oh, it was horrible. And then when after I finally got myself kind of cleaned up, I walked out, and it was like, in passing, someone walked in. I said, "Oh, don't go into that stall right there. Fucking somebody not that horrible mess."
Somebody Ron was just in there.
No, see, that's the way to do it. It's like,
but no, I had to puke and poop at the same time. It was bad.
Beefing.
It was
sufficient.
bad.
You beefed.
All right, let's
All
go
right.
over this, guys. I know you're dying to find out how we did.
Hell of a detour.
Question 1: a scientific study recently found that Viagra has other useful uses. An article posted recently shared that you can use Viagra to effectively perk up freshly cut plants and flowers, bitches.
It just makes things erect.
Gets things a flowing. Okay.
Well,
Nobody
wasn't
got that right,
Viagra
strangely.
like an accidental drug?
It was a blood pressure medication.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that minoxidil, which I believe is the main ingredient in Rogaine, like I think that was blood pressure related too, but that ended up growing hair and bald spots. So we gotta look into whatever we're trying to do with blood pressure.
Keep doing it.
Maybe we should try to figure out a way to make the world's biggest cock, and we will solve hypertension. Because we got to reverse engineer this shit. But
Yeah, no shit.
damn, did
No
anyone
points.
guess that?
No points awarded.
Oh.
Nope. Whiff.
All right, good whip.
Swamp, swamp, sad swamp.
We all got a shot with Lana. No offense to your new husband. I'm sure he's a lovely
and
man.
You all got it right. He literally is a licensed swamp boat tour guide.
Okay.
Oh my
All right.
God. And he looks the part, that's for sure. I've been on one of those. It's wild.
Swammer.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's probably like rugged. He's probably a successful swamp
He looks,
motor.
I mean, he doesn't look like big. He looks doughy. He looks a little like swamp doughy.
He
Swamp,
looks
no.
normal. He looks like a normal guy, maybe slightly south of normal.
Well, I wonder if that's his job or if it's a
come on.
hobby. You know what I mean? 'Cause
He's a licensed.
He
Oh,
doesn't.
so it's official.
Licensed swamp boat. This is his career.
All right.
I'm gonna look this guy up. You can go on with the next question,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna look him up.
This musician was such a fan of Motorhead's Lemmy that he recently got a tattoo with Lemmy's ashes inside of it. It was James Hetfield of
wow.
Metallica.
Okay.
Ron and John Mark getting points on that one.
Well, it took him for so long to get even tattoos in the first place. I just have a hard time thinking of
Yeah, and then he caught up.
James
Okay.
Hetfield even tattooed.
Before we move on, I'm gonna send you this dude, and I feel like I was right. Whoa, I don't know what kind of file that is. Avif. But hopefully, does that blow up? Doesn't blow up.
No, it doesn't come up. But you can kind of see it, I think, if you're just going to...
Well,
I've seen this photo. Yeah, he looks like a redneck. You know, I don't
he's
know.
totally redneck. He looks like the kind of guy that votes Trump. I'll be honest. This is like the textbook Trump voter. I have a hard time believing Lana Del Rey's a Trumpster. But could be wrong. Nah, we'll move on. Here's a better picture. Well, you can go on, though, to the next one. I don't mean to hang us up. But it's the same picture, but it's blown up. Kind of looks like Kevin Smith now that he's thin, but as a redneck.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This famous person made the news when they were shoe shopping in France and couldn't hold their pee-pee no more, so they just peed in a bottle. And right back to their security detail, purchased some high-end shoes, and just got the fuck out of there. And that was indeed Elton John. Sir Elton John.
Goodbye, yellow-filled bottle. I feel better than I did before. I guess I can't walk to the bathroom, because that would just be too far. Elton John.
Incredible.
Okay.
Well, wouldn't that be fucked up if you had like a Mountain Dew in his limo and he didn't know which jar was which?
Is there... well, is there more to the story? Is there... Like, he just had to go and
peed in a
peed in a bottle.
Swap, sad
Oh,
pee.
you know the rest of the story.
See, I feel like Elton should be at diaper age as
Yes.
well. Huh? All right, move on to the next one. I'm going to look up Elton's age.
There was no next one, Ronster. With that,
that
you
was it?
dealt a swift blow and conquered today. Congratulations.
All right. Over, you know, I feel like I do well over the campfire. Sorry, getting verklempt here. 77, Elton John. So they're not all old people have to even go to the dipe, but
The number one
Diaper.
down.
the dipe. I mean, look, I feel like
Oh, the
it's-
diaper.
At
Yeah.
some point, I like to imagine that at some point, defying all logic, the Ronster lives to be old person diaper appropriate age. I like to imagine that I'm going to own it. But then suddenly I'm going back to the pool thing. Like peeing in a diaper probably feels a lot like peeing in the pool.
I don't think so. I think it goes away.
You think
Yeah, diaper.
you think
Live
that
with
the
it for a bit.
absorbency is that potent? I feel like we need a live podcast
I
demonstration.
knew you were going to go there.
I'm not even fucking
wear
around.
diapers and see who
All
gets
right,
the
now
last
everyone
one.
shit.
We all got to go buy some Depend diapers, strap them on, and instead of on some future episode, instead of sorry, I don't know what's happening with my voice here, Flemmy. Instead of taking our usual pee break, we just stay on the air and we pee in the diaper and we do a live. How does this work? How does this feel?
Why is it filling up so fast?
Who's in?
We could just go to therapy. I mean,
Oh.
Well, we might have to do that afterward.
Well, we're doing it together, so it's kind of therapeutic.
Listen, this is one of those things
Healing.
where I would be doing
Yeah.
it and you guys would be like, okay, I'm going, Ron. Wink, wink.
same. I feel the same, Ron.
Little
Yes.
glass of water. Do you
Okay,
hear
well,
it?
I guess we have to
Yeah,
film
I did
ourselves
it.
doing it. All right, I'm going to put this to the listeners. Maybe no one is interested in this, but I got a feeling some of you
Nobody.
might be.
Oh, yeah.
If you want us to do a live, now we're not going to video it, but if you want us to do a live recording
But if you do want us to video it,
of us all peeing in our old man
P.O.
diapers,
box. give Ron some money and not tell him.
Maybe we can get Penn to be a sponsor of the show. I mean, we're not getting younger, gang.
Nah, it's true.
we ain't gonna get.
We're one of the older podcasts.
Hot Topic.
You know, out there.
Jesus, is Hot Topic even still a thing? Do the kids still
It
do
is.
Hot Topic,
think
or
it's
is it
about
all
the
middle-aged
only thing.
people at this point?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Hot Topic stays young, or if
I wish Hastings was still.
I think it
around.
does.
you think
I
it
love
stays young. You
Hastings.
think that there are
I do.
13, 14-year-olds getting Hot Topic?
All I know is
Swag.
my girlfriend's got a daughter
Bullshit.
who's 18, and she's just now going through her emo phase, and like wearing Hot Topic shit all the time. And I'm
They got I think exotic stuff in Hot Topics. It seems like I walked through there and seen a couple butt plugs and dildos before. It seemed like.
You might
Almost
be
was
thinking.
in the
Well,
wrong
you might be thinking of
place.
Spencer's. They got that shit in
Thinking of-
Spencer's. Well, they might have it in Hot Topic.
Cock
I haven't been to
Topic.
what are you gonna pick? A butt plug from Hot Topic? Well, yeah. You know what's funny? I mean, this is a very awkward transition, but Sarah's young kids have started wearing the baggy pants. Like, what were the Genkos? What were they called?
Jenkos.
Is it Jenkos?
Yeah.
They're wearing shit that looks a lot like that. We did some family photos, as I mentioned earlier today, and her youngest looked exactly like fucking Kurt Cobain. Same haircut, flannel shirt. The jeans were a bit more late 90s, early 2000s. That's when those big, wide, like... some of those things got ridiculous. Like the... you remember Fucked? The
Oh, yeah.
the clothing brand Fucked? Those I feel like there was a race to get to the widest pant that you could possibly get to, and Fucked was ruling the scene until Jenko took him over.
Was
Fucked,
that more of a
F-U-C-T.
more of a punk thing, or more of a skater thing, or more of a what
It
was
was
that?
it was a later
Emo?
90s.
Skatery.
Yeah, it was what all that became. You know, there was that
Yeah.
weird era when you stopped listening. It stopped being about Nirvana and Alice in Chains, and then it started becoming more Green Day, and then Blink 182, and then that started to
Gotcha.
become more Offspring, more. Sum 41. I don't even know what bands represented this look, because even the
I don't
bands that
think
I
any
just
bands did
listed.
represent that look. I think it was a side. It was separate from music. I think. I feel.
Mm.
Even though, like, that being said, like a lot of like the new metal and like like new metal to like through like Korn and Slipknot and that kind of whole scene, those people like to wear, still to this day, like to wear really fucking big baggy black pants with like chains all over the place and shit like that.
Yeah.
You know what's a fucking trip? My brother's kid, he must be 12 or 13, maybe 14, somewhere around there. He went to his first concert ever, just recently, and it was Slipknot.
Oh, lucky
The second
dog.
show that he went to was Smashing Pumpkins, and apparently that's
Oh.
his favorite band. I'm like, I gotta hang out with this kid more.
Right.
I'm not a Slipknot guy, but the fact that his first concert
Cool little
ever
nephew.
was Slipknot is like, that's pretty wild. That's a wild first concert. Anywho, well, should we douse this fire and tuck into our sleeping bags?
Yeah.
We're all sleeping in the same tent tonight, right?
Well, there's a
Yeah.
spooky owl out there that's got
Same
those
bag, too.
There's glowing eyes. That
I
are
called
bugging
dibs
me.
on Chris Cumberbear Hart.
Lumble Bear hard. Chris,
How's
are
that
you
for
gonna
a
have a
recall?
dream of that you were skiing down a mountain with 3 rods for your for your skiing?
Dare to dream, Lyle. Well, now.
Let's try
There you go.
slalom style.
Well, where did this extra pole come from? Oh, better hit it quick.
I'm not scared of getting impaled. I love it.
Oh, Chris the Impaler. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, y'all. Hopefully you have yourself a safe but not too safe Hallows Eve. And we appreciate you supporting this podcast. I just looked at the stats from the last show, the first one we posted in like, I think, a month and a half. And it's literally just rambling, catching up, getting caught up on Lyle's medical stuff. we almost have 300 downloads from that little show.
Oh, Jesus.
You all still love us. We ain't paying the bills from this, and we talk about it all the time. These aren't huge numbers. The fact that we would be doing this if 50 of you were listening. I feel like we would. I would be doing it. Whenever we get
I think
around
we'd
to
be
it.
doing it if there was like 15 people listening.
It's like, this
It would probably be less edited.
This is the
and more
thing.
raw.
I don't know if we say
Yeah.
this enough, but we don't hang out. John Mark's in Tacoma. Christopher is in Bremerton. Lyle is right down the street from me, basically. But, we all have our separate lives. He's fighting for his life. I'm fighting for rent every fucking minute. Like, we don't get together. We don't hang out. We have some texting threads back and forth every now and again, but this is the only time we actually all get together on a regular basis to chat. But the fact that you all have followed us this far into the abyss is incredible. And it needs to be pointed out that this is our 150th episode of How Bizarre, which means
Damn, get a clap there.
that if you take into consideration all of the episodes we recorded with Tales from the Spacepod, which was 350, this is our 500th podcast recording. Isn't that fucking bananas?
Yeah, it's not fucking nuts.
Technically our 501st. Remember when we lost an episode?
Oh yeah, only time though,
It
right?
just disappeared. Well, we lost
Did it all and-
There were a
Where'd it
couple
go?
times with the old setup. I don't know what it was, but there were a couple times where we lost parts of the episode. But there's only
Yeah.
one time that we
And that
lost the
made you-
entire episode.
And then that made me instantly like, I'll do backup.
Yeah, and we started running
we'll have
backup.
backup.
Oh, yeah.
It'll
And I
never
lost,
happen
and I
again.
lost one. I lost part of one again after that, and we used your backup for it. So 500 episodes, fucking bananas. And
Nuts.
thank you all for however many of those you have followed us for. And we will do this, hopefully more this winter. We'll do it when we do it, as we always say. But God bless you all for listening. Have yourself a happy Halloween, and tune in next week because we're going to dive into a little topic called 9/11.
Spooky dude.
Long time coming. I think about 300 some episodes. It used to be 2012.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
That's how this whole bullshit. I still
Then we
That
actually
was,
did
that was the episode we lost.
well,
That
no,
was the 9/11, yeah.
no. Oh yeah. There you go. Yeah, we did the 9/11
Wink, wink,
episode.
wink, wink.
It was gone.
Oh, it just disappeared. I don't know, man.
No, the
Government. Black
I
guys
feel like
in
this was
suits.
very early on when we were teasing.
People in black suits.
I know our
Guys in
longtime
suits.
listeners have the longtime listeners have heard this story 1,000 times, but I get new listeners all the time coming up to me because the friends and locals here, you do a podcast? I'm going to check it out. What the fuck? What? So why didn't you do 9/11? Like they don't get the joke, and the joke started as tune in next week. We're going to be talking about 2012. And that was an era of the podcast when I would pitch a little teaser of what we're going to be talking about next week. For whatever reason, we just forgot to talk about 21 or 20. I keep saying 2012. Oh, Rush fan. 2012. And so that became a joke. Tune in next week. We're talking about 2012. Then we finally did the 2012 episode. And we had to do another one. We picked another number episode, 9/11. And it's been that ever since. So there's your backup story. And no, I'm not going to get into my poop story. You're going to have to dive deeper than what happened in that closet. When I was
Oh, spooky closet.
15.
Let's not do. We've talked about 10 times. Do a Goog. You'll find it.
Yeah,
do,
you're
do a
good. You're
quick
fine.
goog.
Easy.
Christopher probably has some fucking blog set up that he's blocked me from accessing.
Got that you're famous in the tub picture.
Well, that's the headline picture of the blog. Yeah.
Exactly. The thread, the opening thread.
Mm-hmm. All right, y'all. Tune in next week, 9/11. Thanks for following us. Those of you who have been with us for 500 episodes.
Good Lord.
Cheers to y'all, and cheers to us for doing 500
Yeah.
things. In
Fucking
spite
hell.
of all of
Cool.
life's
Hoorah.
troubles. We started the same month Joe Rogan started, and we have the same level of success. That goes to show you that you just got to do
Hard
it,
work.
kid.
Hard work pays off. And never forget. Swamp,
Bootstraps,
swamp,
etc.
sad, swamp, sad.
All right. Good night, Joe.
All right. Good night.
Let's tuck in. Here.
Bye.
Yeah.
Human
They
Centipede
go
was all
back
the way up on
to
17, but I
eating.
was like, you know, depending on whose ass you're eating,
Right.
mine
You
died.
diabetes.
Versus.
Yeah.